Recording in progress.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. This is the Historic Preservation Commission meeting first at 5:30 here at Washburn City Hall. And our sole item is discussion and action on issuance of certificate of appropriateness for proposed Washburn City Hall windows. And that is in tab 1 of the packet tonight. If we do, yes, we do.
Dave Anderson.
Here.
Carl Broberg. Here. Jen Mazias.
Here.
Mayor McGrath. Tom Nimas.
Here.
Karen Novacek.
Here.
Laura Tulowitzki.
Here.
Quorum is met.
Thank you. So you have many details about this project in your memo. The long anticipated project of replacing the windows here at City Hall. And whoever is online, if you could please mute yourself, that would be appreciated. Thank you. So we have two options for replacing the windows. Or I guess we don't need to look at that yet. First, we're looking at the appropriateness of the proposed windows. So,
Madam Mayor,
yes.
as a member of the commission, which the council is, and as a member of the Washburn Heritage Association, I reviewed item C under historic preservation 1 through 6 and item D 1 through 6. And it appears to me that replacement of the windows as indicated in the memo from the city administrator meet the certificate of appropriateness as outlined. Doesn't change or destroy or adversely affect, it conforms, et cetera, et cetera. And so I would move on behalf of the Historic Preservation Commission that we approve going forward with the window replacement.
With the certificate of
Appropriateness.
And a second by Carl. Does anyone have any questions about the certificate of appropriateness? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And with that, our business is concluded and we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Now, moving on to the city council meeting. I will call us to order. And if we could do roll call, please, or can we dispense with that? Nothing's changed. We'll do the roll call, okay.
Dave Anderson,
Here.
Carl Broberg. Here. Jen Mazias,
Here.
Mayor McGrath. Mayor McGrath. Tom Diamond,
Here.
Karen Novacek,
Here.
Laura Tulowitzki,
Here.
all quorum is met.
Thank you. Next is the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, our next item is approval of minutes from the council meeting from March 13th, 2023.
Second.
Motion by Tom and second by Karen. Are there any comments, edits, questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item is approval of monthly expenditures via roll call vote.
And Mayor, I move that we approve the monthly expenditures as reviewed.
Second.
Motion by Karen, second by Dave.
Laura Tulowitzki,
Yes.
Karen Novacek,
Yes.
Tom Diamond,
Yes.
Jen Mazias,
Yes.
Carl Broberg,
Yes.
Dave Anderson. Yes.
Thank you to the Personnel and Finance Committee for your time reviewing those every month. Our next item is public comment. Is anyone here tonight that would like to give public comment? Sure, step on up to the microphone, and if you could please state your name and address and sign in, that would be great.
Yeah, you bet. Hi, Council. Hi, Mayor. I'm Roth Edwards. I live at 221 West 6th Street, Washburn. And first, I would simply say that the Bayfield Street reconstruction project is very much needed, and it represents a major step forward for our city. And I would recommend that the city focus as much time, energy, and resources on that project as it possibly can, and for now mothball the open field glamping project. And this piece that I'm going to read to you now, it actually just appeared in my inbox this morning. I'm going to adjust this, sorry, so I don't have to stoop. So I have yet to really read and absorb it myself. It is from Washburn Mayor Edith Murilla, who was mayor from 1976 to 1980. And Mayor Murilla says, as of this morning, "You got me to thinking about how that path came to be. In 1976, I was elected mayor. The 6-member city council was an outstanding group. There were lots of different opinions. One of the first things the council and I did after the election was to conduct an all-day town hall meeting. Public attendance was great, and everyone participated. Building a trail along the lakefront was a very high priority, if not the top priority of the city. Unfortunately, city finances were challenging, to say the least. There was no money to build a trail, even though the public clearly wanted it. So citizens stepped forward and volunteered to work on building the trail. The city got a planning grant from the State Coastal Management Program to lay out the trail. Many volunteers of all ages and abilities took the plan and started building. The Army National Guard from Ashland provided heavy equipment and operator to rough in the trail, which the volunteers then built into a beautiful lakeshore path. I remember lots of work being done by Boy Scouts from Washburn. It has been rebuilt and upgraded over the years. The original path did not have bridges due to a lack of funding to build them. Now there are bridges, a significant upgrade. I still think of that path as the people's path. The people wanted it, and they made it happen. Washburn citizens and its lakeshore path are an example of what public involvement can accomplish. It's also a great example of the public setting public priorities and implementing them. And it's interesting to see today's citizens value the lakeshore path as much as citizens did back in 1976. Thank you for your time. And I'll pass the torch to the next public speaker. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, I'm Tina Rakelli. I live at 111 West 3rd Street here in Washburn. And I have some comments to share about proposed usage of the land near the walking trail that has been looked at for either yurts or other community camping or activities that way. And first of all, I want to say thank you for your work as community leaders and for this opportunity to share. I am not a scientist nor an environmental professional, but I have spoken with persons with that expertise and found some affirmation for me to express and frame what's my gut feel about that land that is alongside the Lakeshore Trail. What I've heard and what I've suspected is that our lakeshore habitat, while beautiful, is not in the best of health. There's erosion and other signs of decline, and it needs our tangible actions and public policy to ensure a goal of restoration and healing. The proposed yurts and other recreational camping, while exciting sounding and in a spirit of positivity, I still don't find these kinds of projects to be environmentally focused in an integral kind of way, more of a spirit of let's minimize damage, let's be responsible, while keeping the focus on providing a service and generating income. I'm concerned about their impact to this land, both in their setup and their ongoing use. Also, I don't feel that the amount of income generated would be a substantial way to address our fiscal needs. And I believe there are more comprehensive strategies and ways to better align our environmental values to raise income and draw folks to our community businesses. I've experienced us, our community here in Washburn, to be a vibrant, creative, and caring community. And I believe we as community members can work together to find a both and of fiscal viability and also stewarding our community's values and natural treasures. This lakeshore walking trail and the land which supports it are truly irreplaceable community treasures. I would hope you would decide no to the yurt or other recreational camping proposals on this lakeshore property and instead seek ways to restore health and vitality to our lakeshore habitat for us now and for generations to come. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Tina. Anyone else?
Hello, my name is Tora Edwards, and as Tina did, I would like to thank you for your work for the town of Washburn. And I am here also in providing a voice that is really asking that the city council think about much more carefully this land before moving forward with developing it. As what Tina and Roth have just talked about, these are very, very crucial points. And as Roth was saying from this letter from the former mayor of Washburn, that the citizens stepped forward as volunteers and they built this path. This is the people's path. This area that supports it is part of that. That is very important to think about, very important to consider. And this, I feel, does need to be thought about in a much more careful manner in going forward. This green space, we think, we live here and we feel like we forget that the whole world is not like this. That once we travel beyond here, we realize how much buildup there is everywhere. And once we start returning into this area, we realize how special it is and how different it is and how fortunate we are to experience this kind of open space and nature around us. It is really important that we keep this open space, this green space, and I am here to support that and to really support the steps forward that can keep this space open and for our public, again, our public community, for our community, for the citizens who volunteered to build this, and that this open space be thought about as another space that we can do volunteer work and not put all the overhead in that is needed to do this project that is proposed. So to, again, bring the community in and allow the volunteer spirit to provide something that the public can be able to enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else here for public comment? Anyone online for public comment? Anyone else? Last call? All right, we will move on. Thank you all. All right, our next item is mayoral announcements, proclamations, and appointments. The first thing I would like to bring to everyone's attention, if you haven't seen the information about this, is that with the snow melt that is occurring outside, our water treatment facility is running at full bore. And we are asking everyone to please do what you can to conserve water at this time. The old, well, in all ways that you can. I'll just leave it at that. I won't go into the colloquialisms. But please do be cognizant of that and hold off on that extra load of laundry if you can for right now and those sorts of things. So thank you for that, and thank you to our staff down at the water treatment facility that's keeping a close eye on the situation and doing everything they can to make sure that it's still functioning properly. We're pushing it to its limit right now. The next item I have is a recognition of our outgoing council members. And we have 3 council members that this is their last meeting, and it's a sad day. They've been on this council longer than I've been mayor, and they are valued, and we are going to miss them. And I do have some official proclamations that we have framed, and I would like to give to you as a memory for your time here serving on council. And also in celebration of your newfound freedom, we have cupcakes to share with everyone. So please do help yourself to cupcakes on the table over here. And let's do a photo op, how about, with all 3 of you that it's your last night here, and we can do that maybe in front of that map over there, unless there's a reflection. There's no great spot in this crowded room. But... Yes. Just a moment, Tony's gonna take this picture, so I think we're good. So I'm gonna give you each your certificate to hold for the picture. Tony, am I not in the picture? And we although maybe I want to do some freedom.
Just get in the picture.
It doesn't, you sure? I think we can try it. And with that, should I sneak into the middle or should I'll just want to?
Yeah.
There we go. Oh, I have my glasses on.
Okay.
Thank you. Let's give them a hand, everyone. And really, don't be shy. We have more cupcakes in the back if we run out there. What's that? Yes, please eat them, otherwise we're gonna end up eating them all.
So, I just want to acknowledge all three of you guys, Karen as our president, council president. We really rely on you to bring us back around and articulate things. I'm not so sure what we're gonna do without you. Everybody better have a little bit of grace with us because we don't have our base. So Karen, thank you. We really are gonna miss you.
Yes, as experienced earlier in our Historical Preservation Commission meeting, Karen's giving me eye signals here.
Correct, and it's just really nice to have different folks with different opinions and all the expertise that you've brought us for the ambulance and all your expertise and everything has just been, it's nice to have different opinions. Everybody says like it's hard, but I always really appreciate everybody's different opinions, you know, and where you brought a lot to this council because of all the stuff you do with children and all your stuff with Jackie's Field and all that stuff. So, you know, we're gonna be missing some plugs here.
Absolutely.
We do have new people coming in that hopefully will be a different set of people, but I think like this whole combination has been really, really nice. And so thanks for all the time you guys have put in. I'm gonna miss you.
And hopefully you all had a chance to read the newsletter where I highlighted each of you a little bit so people know what you've brought to the table and what you're missing. Yeah.
I put it in my little thing to read, but I didn't see
Yep.
it, so thank you.
I wanted to just make sure that it gets out there because it is important to recognize, you know, your contribution to the community. And of course, I'm hoping Carl still contributes in other ways to the community. But thank you. And Tom?
Yes, I would like to thank the three of them. I'm going to start with Karen. You've been council president the whole time I've been on. You are a very inclusive person and keep us grounded. I really appreciate that. Carl, you are going to be sorely missed. Your knowledge of the Robert's rules and keeping things in order is going to be greatly missed by me. And Laura, I appreciate your fine, nice personality being on the council.
Here, here.
Here, here. Thank you. Then with that, we'll move on to our confirmation of citizen participation committee members for the Community Development Block Grant Program. They've already made an investment of time by participating in our public hearing prior to the council meeting. So I'm hoping that everyone will approve their confirmation. Those members were sent out to you. I'll just read their names. John Liz Hopkins, Mike Wroblewski, Karen Spears Novacek, Rick Woodley, and Matt Kroll. And those members are representing different aspects of our community that are very specific as directed by the Department of Administration. And so I think it's a good cross-section of our community to serve on that, and their role is just to make sure that we're doing what we need to be doing to follow the rules for that grant.
I'll make a motion to approve all five.
Okay, we have a motion by Tom, second by Carl to approve the 5 members. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you all. And with that, our next item is discussion and action on resolution 2023-007, committing to match requirement for community development block grant application and certifying match is available. And that is in tab 3 of your packet.
I'll make a motion to approve that.
Second,
Motion by Tom, second by Karen. And before we move on, Scott or Karen? No, Scott. Okay, well, and let's do a roll call vote then, yes. Does anyone have any questions before we do that? All right.
Dave Anderson? Yes. Carl Broberg?
Yes.
Jen Mazias?
Yes.
Tom Limas?
Yes.
Karen Novacek?
yes.
Laura Tulowitzki?
Yes.
Okay. Motion passes. Our next item is related to that. And this is Resolution 2023-008, authorizing application to the Community Development Block Grant Program.
Madam Mayor, I move approval of resolution 2023-008, authorizing resolution to submit a CDBG application.
Motion by Karen, second by Dave. And just for those of you who may not know, this is regarding the highway project, the city's portion of that, which is replacing the sewer and water lines. And with that, we'll do a roll call vote.
Laura Tulowitzki?
Yes.
Karen Novacek?
Yes.
Tom Limas?
Yes.
Jen Mazias?
Yes.
Carl Broberg?
Yes.
Dave Anderson? Yes.
Thank you, that motion passes. Okay, our next item is discussion and action on acceptance of proposal to replace City Hall windows. And this is in tab 1 of your packet. And this is where we have some details on a couple of proposals. And I believe that everyone is here tonight from the two companies. And so if people do have questions as we're moving through this, and I think we have a little bit of additional information to share. Do you want to introduce this, or should I call someone up to provide that information before we?
I'll just introduce it and then, so you passed the certificate of appropriateness for either firm for the windows. So now it comes down to what you would like. And one of the questions one of the issues I had outlined in the memo is how are we going to compare apples to apples here? We don't have to. We did receive information that we can exempt this project from state bidding laws because of the energy efficiency provision. So we can do that, and so it comes down to a matter of style. Of course, cost can still be certainly a factor, an important factor as well. So ANCO is a manufacturer and installation company, and they're here, and I know that if you have questions about their product, they're here to answer and explain their product. H Windows is also here. Typically, they are not an installation firm. However, for this project, they have worked to be able to provide an installation quote. I know that they have that information for what an installation is. I do not have that yet at this point, but I know that they are willing to share that so that you would have a more apples-to-apples comparison on the cost aspect of this project. So with that, I would suggest if rather to open it up to those firms and if you have questions.
Thank you. If we could have, H Windows, come forward and just give us that little bit of additional information, that would be great. If you don't mind.
Hello, council. My name is John Pip. I'm from the H Window Company in Ashland, Wisconsin. Previously, we had submitted a bid without installation, and that was the total for that was $40,779.52. After numerous attempts of trying to get an installer, we were unsuccessful up until this last week. So this last week, we found an installer that would be willing to provide a number to us for installing these windows. So I have received that quote this morning, and we can, with the windows that were originally proposed, we can supply the windows with the half rounds that are above them, with vision glass, the same as what's below. And that would be tempering all the lights, the lower lights on the elevation on this side because it's so close to the sidewalk. So tempering all those for a total of $67,000.
That's installed?
That's installed.
And did you say that does include the upper portion as well?
Correct.
And just, if you could remind me, I looked at this a week ago and now I forgot. Are these the kind that tilt up?
Correct.
Okay, so a different style than the current window.
Correct. So I actually have 3 different versions of doing it. So the original bid for the $40,779 with the installation is $67,000. If you want a vertical mutton bar in it to make it look like this one, where you have the bar down the middle, we can do that as well. And that would be a total of $68,250. And we also have done it so that it's just like the one you do have here, the twin casements. So it would operate very similar to the ones you have now. And that would have a total with install of $77,200.
So similar with the handle that you just turn and push?
Well, it would be a crank out.
Crank, okay.
Crank out, yes. And some other information I'd like to share with you. Of course, that the round tops are included with the vision glass. These would be, if you went with the awning style that open at the bottom, they would be the same as what's been at the Bayfield County Annex building. And those windows were installed in 2010. And I've been with the company for 22 years. And so from 2010, when we installed the windows over at the Annex building, we've never had any issues at all. So that's 12 years, no issues at all with the window.
And just to clarify, that's not a historic building, no, that's
Correct.
the newer building, okay.
Correct.
Wait, Karen, you had a question for you on that?
Oh, yes.
Of the 3 totals that you've given us, how would they be affected if we did not put glass in the archway, in the arch?
It would depend on what you would want in the arch. If
It
you would
was
want
just like it is now.
so a panel like it is now would probably add an additional $2,500 to each one of the bids.
More than if we had glass.
Correct. Correct.
I had just assumed that it would be able to stay the same and you would just bring the windows in.
Because that round top is actually part of, it's all one window. If you take the bottom out, you have to take the top out.
So $2,500 per window?
No, total.
Total, for all 12.
You're correct.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thanks.
Uh,
Go ahead.
Our current lead time is 19 weeks, so we could have the windows ready and for install early fall of this year. All the work is fully insured and the workmanship is warranted for 5 years. Our window is an AW70 rating, so it has a structural performance of 105 PSF. Our air infiltration rating is less than 0.01. You can't get much better than that. And we have no water penetration up to 12 PSF. All our glazing is dry glazed, so if the glass gets damaged, it's easily replaced without dismantling the sash. Our screens are an extruded aluminum, not the flimsy roll form aluminum screens that you typically see. And of course, the windows are manufactured right in Ashland, which is right across the bay, so it's locally sourced. And H windows do meet the qualifications for Living Building Challenge. We utilize HAPS-free finishes, and for a small additional fee, we can do actually FSC certified woods. And I noticed in Washburn's comprehensive plan that there's a thing in there, what is great about Washburn, and one of the comments in there is that the city's moving to conserve utilities as part of their eco-municipality. And what better way to accomplish that than utilizing the high-performance windows of H window?
Thank you.
Any questions?
I don't see any at this time, but
You have one. Did you say a wind force rating was on those windows?
12
Right.
square foot.
Right, so it's an AW70 rating, so 105 PSF. You can't quote me on this, but I believe that's close to 200-mile-an-hour winds.
I'm with me. I ain't gonna get that.
All right, thank you very much. And
Thank
if you
you.
don't mind, we might call you back
Sure.
if we have further questions. And then Anco, would you like to approach?
I will.
I'm sensing props.
No props. But it's better to have someone an idea, but if you decide to go with us, like you like it, right?
Yes.
We've been doing this for, well, I've been doing it for over 50 years, actually. I'm 19, right? And we've been in business for over 40 years. We moved into Iron River out of Superior to get into Bayfield County, right? Now, nobody smiled.
I did.
I wasn't looking at it. I was watching the guys, not the girls. So we do know what we're doing. This isn't that haphazard thing. Very well weather stripped. We're about the exact same air infiltration rating as they have. We no longer do Energy Star ratings because that costs us about between 5,000 and 7,000 every 2 years to test everything all over again if it's the same. So
Sorry, I'm gonna interrupt real quick. Jen, could you just move your microphone over?
I can go back there.
Just so we have you speaking into a microphone so that the people online can hear you.
Oh, I want to read everybody's eyes.
Yeah,
Now I messed her up.
Thank you.
So what we proposed was, and I think we're a little less exactly the way it was asked by Scott, exactly the same configuration, exactly the same look as what is here now. With the insulated panel on the top, which they added some money to, we didn't. Down below will be a double wide casement with tempered, although we figured tempered all over, so it would be somewhat less than the add-on, and I don't have all the details with Scott have. So this would be from the outside. This is the casement, the mull. And one of the big advantages with us compared to everybody else, we didn't hire a sub to do the installation. All of the people that work for us are on our payroll. Mike, who happens to be here, has been doing this with us for over 30 years. He's full-time on our payroll. He does know what he's doing, and we do guarantee all the labor. So the risk factor is to hire somebody who's gonna provide the labor. Number one, he's not local. Mike here, the guy that's with me.
Can you talk more to the mic, please?
Should I move back?
Well, we're just having a hard time hearing you a little bit. You can speak up.
I'm gonna yell.
No, we got a microphone now. Oh, here. Just hold it right in front of you. There we go.
I'll do it.
Talk right in there.
So, color-wise will be the same. Performance-wise, we're not identical because I think he quoted, I didn't even know they made basement windows. We typically don't compete with them. I do know about the H window. We've taken out lots of them. I'm not saying there's anything bad with them. I'm just saying these are the facts. And some of them have been in a while. Who knows how long? So we've been doing this for a long time. We are local. We're extremely well weather stripped. One of the reasons that we do the installation and have been for years, we don't sell contractors or dealers here, Minneapolis, St. Paul, anywhere that we operate, is everybody always wants to pass the buck. Have you ever bought anything and had that? You just bought a new appliance and now you call the guy you bought it from and he says, well, I'll let him know. Let who know? Let the manufacturer know. The manufacturer's got a repairman or a rep, they'll look at it, but now he's on vacation or in the hospital and all of those good things. So we're totally responsible. The phone is answered every day of the week, work week, 8 till 5. Whatever kind of questions you want to ask, and this, I can pass it around if you want to. It's heavier than you think. The locking system will lock progressively from the bottom to the top, unlock handle, so it'll look like it is. It'll be somewhat less than what we had quoted Scott with all tempered. So we're in the same ballpark, I think. We didn't know anybody was going to. We assumed that I think it's appropriate, really. It's basically almost local, not quite Bayfield County local, but that there was going to be another installation factor. So we didn't have, because this wasn't a bid situation, it was a proposal. And we proposed what we thought would be the best for here. So the appearance and the end result will be correct. Does anybody want to see this? Take a look, or I'll pass it around, hand it around. Go ahead, take a look.
I remember taking a tour with the Economic Development Corporation Board when I was serving on that. So we got to see those and some other things right on up close and personal.
We're not ones that do, we don't work any home shows anymore. We don't do TV advertising. A huge percentage of our business is referrals, to be quite frank. The total responsibility, beginning to end, is us. And if you've had any dealings with the contractor situation, I don't know with the H window how they, and I'm not saying they're doing anything wrong, nor am I suggesting that, but I don't know who they're going to use for install, who will be supervising it or how experienced. And basically now all window products are, except some of the low end stuff, but all the window products are pretty well made. If there's a callback, really, it references how something was done mechanically with the operating hardware, and then primarily the installation. So particularly in the older building. What kind of questions?
Are you Ron?
Oh, I should have introduced myself, Ron Anderson. Mike happens to be my son who came with me. That if you had an installation question or a concern, we'd be happy to answer that. All of our CALT is certified, all of our, absolutely everything. We've been using some of the same materials for over 20 years. We know that what kind of end result we get with them.
Tell me what kind of a warranty you have.
It depends on, we don't on commercial because we don't know what's going to be. So typically we can write that in the contract, whatever it's going to be, whatever is best for the city, to be quite frank. The warranty, actually the hardware, the glass is going to be warranted for 20 years. The mechanical or the operating hardware, you're going to have 10 years, but this point in need, we're what, 20 minutes away? So it isn't a big problem, but we don't have any of those, again, because we're doing it, there's no passing the buck. When we sold dealers or contractors around, typically that was the thing, it was always our fault when we get there. You'd see windows inside out, installed in a perfect opening, and they're in kitty wampus, and maybe have some of that kind of stuff in your house, I don't know. But it's pretty typical. So if there's gonna be a problem with the product, it typically will be with the installation. Nobody likes callbacks that cost too much. Labor is very hard to get nowadays. Very skilled labor is very hard to get.
You must know a shortcut I don't. Takes me 35 minutes.
I don't.
You'll have to share your secret.
I don't drive here, but he can answer your question. So that's about it.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Does anyone have further questions for either? I guess the question that comes to mind back to John would be who is doing the install and where are they based out? It would be just an interesting.
The contractor is based out of Ashland, Wisconsin, and it is somebody who came highly recommended by Carlson's Building Products.
Okay, thank you.
I just need to confirm, in order to meet this exemption from the public bidding requirement, this contract just has to be with a provider. So just to confirm, H Window would be that provider for the full contract price.
Correct.
Okay. And you would be responsible for coordinating the sub for the installation.
Correct.
One thing that I noticed in the code is that under that section D that we referred to when we were approving the replacement, number 6 of that item says deteriorated historic features shall be repaired rather than replaced. Where the severity of deterioration requires replacement of distinctive features, the new features shall match the old in design, color, texture, and other visual qualities, and where possible, materials. So it's just something to consider as we're making this decision, I think, unless, am I wrong?
Well, the council did approve appropriateness from either design, so.
Okay.
Mayor, and I can look at that.
Yep, go ahead.
As I was reviewing before I made my motion, and I thought that it complied appropriate.
Okay. Anyone else have questions? Otherwise, we're gonna have to make a motion.
Let me make, excuse me, one more comment. Our insulated glass is what we call with the warm edge spacer. We've been doing it for about 30 years. So it isn't a metal spacer. Our insulated glass, this happens to be out of another sample, but on the insulated glass on the inside, our portion, close to the perimeter, the inside, we're going to be about 14 degrees warmer than they will be on theirs somewhat. Otherwise, I'm assuming the insulated glass will be pretty close.
Okay.
Okay?
Jen?
I just have a question on that, like this piece being open.
Well, what do you mean by open?
I mean, glass.
Yeah, okay.
See, is there a preference from the folks who have to live in this building, like more light, or do you like it like that? Architecturally, I mean, I don't know.
So we discussed that issue, and while we believe that it may be more attractive and aesthetically pleasing most of the time, there may be time when we have some unnecessary or unwanted light. We may want to consider blinds or something if we went that route. The concern that was brought up, if we did have glass up there, is would that be as energy efficient as a solid panel as well? So
that's insulated.
Correct.
Yeah, it seems like it's insulated, so I don't think, I'm not.
Do you have an answer to that?
Yes. And maybe I forgot to mention this when I was given the proposal. that all the glass is figured as triple pane glass. So it's very, the window would have with triple pane glass would have in that fixed top unit, a U value of 0.18, and the lower portion, whether it's a dual casement or an awning, would be a 0.28.
That's a U value, I'm not
Correct,
familiar
U
with that so much as an R value.
Yeah,
So
U
the
value
U value
used
is
in
measuring.
fenestration. Yeah, U value, and I believe, I'm not sure how U value correlates to R value, but U value is what's used in the fenestration industry.
Okay. Karen, go ahead. Another comment? Sure, let's let Karen go ahead first. And
Do we, Madam Mayor, do we first need to make a decision about glass for the arch or not before we decide on a vendor?
Well, I think to get consensus on that would be good. I don't know that we need to vote on those things separately.
Just a further comment, I talked to staff also, and John has indicated in terms of whether they had a preference or not. You talk about finding drapes for that, and that's very complicated for an archway. I mean, you can do it, but it's pretty expensive. For those of you that have been on the finance committee with me, you know that this has been one of my pet projects that I every year have said, can we get these windows replaced? Because they certainly need to be. And so it's fitting that at my last council meeting, you're going to do this. So I'm ready to vote on it. I guess from my point of view, we're used to that archway being blocked. And so I would say maybe continue with that. And I'll throw that out as maybe that's if we can get consensus on that.
Sure, first Dave.
So I'm assuming the original windows that were in here had glass arches, or was it solid glass window?
Do we have any way of knowing that?
I don't think they would have built that the way if it wasn't. So I'm just wondering if we need to consider that from a historical standpoint.
So, the way that I'm reading this is that you replace it as is.
That part has already been considered and approved.
Yeah.
With either side.
Either way. I would have to agree with Karen on this, although I certainly like how glass looks better than this. I have seen at the annex building that we were talking about, not the windows, not the crank windows, but windows that are letting light in, and they're putting cardboard in the window to block the light because there's not an appropriate, type of covering for this little window space that's at the ground level. And it is a challenge to find an appropriate window covering and an additional expense. Does anyone else have any feelings one way or the other on the glass versus panel situation?
I feel like though it's been approved either way, to appreciate the look of the style of the building. It really has a special feel, and I do like being able to have more natural light as an option. I mean, there are curtains that could hang from the outside and cover that whole space.
Sure.
Preference is more light and glass, but I'm a little confused over, so there is an additional cost. I don't know.
It's a good question. Yeah, the glass, my understanding was that there was not an additional cost on the H window for the glass on top?
Correct. The additional fee would be for the panel.
Okay, and then for ANCO,
The panel was included in the first quote.
the panel was included and the glass would be extra?
Correct.
And one thing to consider, you need to really take a look at the glass factors. With the triple glaze number one, it adds a tremendous amount of weight, particularly if it's a casement, not that we can't do it, but yes, we do it all the time. However, it also makes a huge difference with the solar heat gain, because you're gonna cut down, you've got that one extra piece of glass, so it's gonna cut down. It improves, you wanna go back to our values, somewhat, yes, but it's hardly ever worth it anymore, because with low E squared and argon, it's so efficient, and then here it isn't occupied 24/7, so no, I would never consider it, because that made any sense the way I explained it.
Could you summarize? Yeah, because I wasn't
I'm
sure.
really
if you were
hard at
saying-
that, I'm sweet.
I mean, you do or you don't like the arch glass?
I don't like the arch glass, you'd have a heat gain with anything, to the point in here that I don't know what the air conditioning bill is, but it would make a huge difference, even if it's triple glazed up there, personally.
Okay.
And then it is gonna be hard to shield, so
Okay. You do believe the panel, the solid panel would be more efficient?
there's not even a question, it can't even be a question as far as I'm concerned.
Anyone else?
Well, first of all, thanks both for coming. The fact that we have two local, options
Yeah.
in Bayfield County that employ local folks, and, I mean, that's, super excited about that, so, thank you both.
Ashland, our neighbor in Bayfield County, yes.
Yeah, and I kind of consider Iron River neighbor too.
They're not that far. Yeah, but yes, it is exciting to have two.
Yeah, to have
very
two options,
local-
the manufacturer to support that is, I mean, that's really nice, so.
Go ahead, Tom.
I would assume that the windows that used to be in here, they're similar to the ones that are in the courthouse, look like this.
With the glass at the top.
Yeah, and the wood, kind of more ornate. I'm assuming that's what they used to look like. I could see having glass up there, just for more natural light.
Yeah. Is that something you can send to Tony to share? Yeah.
Otherwise, I can, on the historic photo, at the October council meeting, when the building was put on the historic list, there are photos of the building with that packet.
Is that where you're directing Tony to?
I'd be curious to see what the glass looks like.
Okay, yep, let's take a minute. This is an important decision, so let's take a minute and look at what that looks like. It's hard to balance aesthetics with, practical things like,
October of last year.
But they're both, valid points to consider for sure. I hate how these look personally. With the panels. And I understand that there would be a difference, but if historically it was glass, it would be really worth taking a look at taking this opportunity to make it look nicer.
Definitely, if it was glass, we should.
You're gonna wanna go down one more. This one, next page. There.
Glass.
And so that's a double.
Yeah, they don't even look the same. Don't even look,
Different window.
don't even look at it.
Doesn't matter.
Just kidding, I'm just kidding.
They're glass, but they're not ornate.
I think the openings are a little different on the front.
On the outside?
Yeah.
I always want to
All right,
go with
I'm gonna,
efficiency and.
I'm gonna say that we're gonna take a 5-minute break so we can go look at the outside of the building. I would like to do that.
So bring up money into how things look.
This is gonna be like,
Lights and-
and to grab a cupcake.
Now's the chance to do
Should we go back up?
Anyone else want to look at this one?
Yeah. They didn't do very well.
Oh, that's another option. That's a tiny little thing. At some point, someone decided.
Oh, definitely. We'll be here till.
That's in the state.
This is why.
You said the pole that lowered.
Jeez, how much was that? Not 80? Okay.
Daryl, eat more cupcakes. No.
Oh, yes.
All right, guys.
Who made the cupcakes?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
There's gonna be a
I know.
Oh, for haircut? Oh, the glasses. Yeah. Must have really. Zone mix, zone mix. Very well.
Like how they were.
Yeah. You really have my hoodie?
That's my take on it.
Yeah.
You want my opinion?
Yeah.
Even got a walking trail. Could do it on camera.
Go big or go chocolate.
We need glass.
What's that?
Right, contact More sugar. Get everybody on
Right. That's what we were talking about. It's not being done. That's what the bartender was saying. He wants me to talk to all the businesses. The one that's being impacted. No, really. I know the one that seems to be no. Yeah. This record was out there. Well, he wants me to talk to the business.
That's what I saw.
They don't have a solution, do they? Yeah. If there's no solution, I want to know what the hell they.
We're right.
Yeah.
I know.
It's worse than
I'll get some fruit punch.
Thank you, appreciate that. It's down here. Where are we up here? You're gonna be, I mean, you're not right here.
Yeah.
Tracy Snyder. Tracy Snyder.
No, no, Pete already talked about it, because you're gonna have to, yeah. No, I'm not, I don't know Roth, and I don't know how they're gonna do
Really need to listen to their plan, because it is, they take all of them into consideration. So, you
No, he's gonna have to cover what's taken.
I grew up until. Okay, I'm gonna bring us back to order here. Okay, so thank you for taking a moment to inspect the exterior of the building and further consider our options. Am I getting the sense that the consensus is that we would like a window at the?
Historical, what those were.
I've changed my mind and I agree.
So, seeing that, then we're looking at our two options, and I need a motion, I guess, to go one together.
Can we get them to come up with a set price before?
Sure, I think we could do that. So, so if we're looking, with that final decision made, could I get a firmer idea from both companies what that cost would be to do what is being proposed with the glass window at the top, including all the labor and all of that, please? And including whatever the warranty is, if you could remind us of that, please.
Okay. One thing to let you know is with having the glass in the upper light, there are different low E coatings that are available. So you could use a darker low E coating. It's a low E 340. It has a very low solar heat gain coefficient, and it's an anti-glare glass. And that's a very minimal upcharge from the current triple pane that's in it now.
Okay.
So.
So the total cost then for glass?
From.
If we're gonna use that glass, what you just mentioned, what's the total cost?
Oh, I would have to find that out with that low E 340, but I would assume with the 12 round tops that it would probably be around $750 more.
Total or per window?
No, total.
Total, okay.
Yeah, for the low E 340 in the upper light.
So it,
So it would be a dark glass then.
so then depending on what we choose for the style of the lower half, if we're
Right.
gonna have the bar in the middle.
Right, and seeing the historical pictures that you showed, we do have the option of making that bar horizontal, so it would give more the look of the original window.
I have one quick, that the arch window with the low E, anti-glare solar gain, would that be tinted?
Yes, it's a rather dark glass.
Yeah. So it would look like two separate things.
Yeah. Okay,
Unless we wanted the whole window to be that.
okay.
But it would help with the glare and the light coming in and the solar gain.
So without the bars, we're back to like the 67,000.
Correct, without the bar and with the awning style window.
And then, the warranty on that was 5?
No, the 5-year warranty is on the labor of the install.
Okay,
The window itself has a 10-year warranty, and the glass has a 20-year warranty.
okay, run that by me again. 5-year for the install labor,
Yep,
10,
10 for the window product itself,
okay.
and 20 for the glass.
Okay. All right, very good.
I have one more question.
Yep.
The window jamb and framework is all metal, aluminum, I assume?
No, it's a composite window, so the outside is aluminum and the inside is wood. So it's currently coated with an oak interior with a stain finish. Again, we have, I believe, 10 different stain colors, so if you wanted it stained to match the desk or match your doors that are currently in here, we can do that.
Okay.
I think it was really nice.
Any other questions for John?
What was the total?
So the 67,000, depending on if you're gonna upcharge the glaze for about $750.
Yeah.
So 68,000.
So say 68.
Awning style, glass overhead.
No bars.
7.
And then if you want, but if you want a bar, then that's an additional 2,500.
The bar was another 1,250, I think, about.
Yeah, yep.
That's full.
With the horizontal bar, yeah. So you would take the second proposal for the 68,250 and add $750 for the low 340 in the upper light.
And the bar? or-
It would have the bar in the lower light, yep.
And we're making a motion, are we needing to specify which glass is tempered? You mentioned there being options, but.
Right, currently the lower light in the big W1 or W2 units that are on the, whatever elevation this is over here, where it's close to the sidewalk, those are tempered.
And then, is there any other questions for John? Otherwise, I'm gonna ask Ron to come back up. So we can just get to where we are with that pricing. Thank you.
I don't have any way, excuse me, I don't have any way I can give you a number on what the change is for what we were asked to do. I think we did, I'm assuming, Scott. We didn't give a itemized idea of what it is. So it would be less than the 86,000 that we proposed to do it like it is with insulated panels in the top.
But then plus the 9,000 for glass on the top.
No, because that was quoted with everything then being tempered, which we were asked to do too. So it was everything on the, okay? And we quoted those on that end of the building because they're so close to the walk. And one, I think we quoted this whole side because there is a little difference in appearance. So it's, since there wasn't a written specification, and I'm not saying anybody has done anything wrong, I'm just saying I can't give you the exact number. Sorry.
So we need to wait until we have solid goals, now that we talked about what we want.
So with this exemption to the public bidding requirements that we're allowed to go under here for these energy efficient replacement parts, there is no requirement that the council actually bid or award it to the lowest responsible bidder. The council has this discretion to choose who to go with. You can say we need specific quotes for these types of windows that we choose, but you're not required to get that. We can say, okay, we choose this provider to move forward with a contract with this type of window, and we can get that contract after the fact.
My question.
Sorry, Carl first and then Jen.
We're still comparing awning versus casement.
Yeah.
I would believe.
Yeah.
Apparently, yes.
Yeah, so do we have a preference?
Oh, and material.
Awning versus casement?
Excuse me, because if you're going to try to do the historical
I'm sorry.
duplicate that, I'm sorry, I interrupted you, I apologize. That changes the whole situation as well.
Sure, let's just finish the awning versus casement.
That's what I'm saying, the difference being.
Double on.
Correct, right.
I don't think we want double on.
No.
No.
That's where I was going. I was going with, I think both companies are great. I think they're gonna be very comparable in price once we nail down what we want. Question is, do both companies offer the kind of window that you're more apt to want? Or, you know, is there a difference in the product that you like differently one or another? Because both the companies are great. But I don't know if they both do the same, right, the wood versus the old metal. That's my main question.
So just to clarify with the awning window, would that whole window tilt?
Yes.
Okay, so that whole large panel would tilt.
For a bigger building, a commercial building of such, is there an efficiency we should know about with that style of window if the awning is pushed out versus having a double hung?
Compared to a double hung or compared to a
Yeah,
double
like,
white?
is there a reason why, a building like this might want one style versus the other over a residential home?
The H window, because of the style and how, what you can do to clean them, is typically not that popular unless it's as an exposed wall of glass like on the lake, that kind of thing. So that would be the comparison. Otherwise, typically it would be casements.
And just to make sure, we're not considering double hung at all, correct?
No.
Oh.
So let's not
So
even,
what was it?
casement, which is the
opening
one
the
that they
awning
are, and then awning is like
Oh.
this.
Side hinge compared to top hinge.
Once we
So-
started talking about the old style, and I just assumed that's what that was.
What's the material your windows are made out of? Is it vinyl?
I'm sorry?
What material is your?
It's all vinyl, it's steel reinforced in the center. We've been doing it for over 30 years. We have zero callbacks relative to the vinyl. It's all, vinyl is like anything you buy in a toy. It can be good vinyl, good plastic. Ours is high quality stuff. It's a product that's not by us because we don't extrude it. We do manufacture the window. That product is exported all over the world for high efficiency. It's just simply good stuff. We're never the cheapest, but I believe we're the best.
Okay. So,
Broken window panes, I mean, do we need to talk about the cost of replacement too? Because that's just assumed to be a broken window.
I don't know that we can,
What the warranty cover.
So I think, I mean, insurance is gonna come in at some point if it's a broken window, so I don't think we need to worry about that so much, but, what I do wanna do is just quickly summarize the different factors here that we're looking at. So do you have something that you have that can outline for us briefly, or, otherwise we can just.
So we agreed with glass at the top. The next question is the difference right now that we're discussing is the style of window, whether you want the awning, which swings out from the bottom, or you want the casement like we have currently, which both sides open. Both companies apparently can do that. So do you have a preference?
Do you have a preference? You live in this building.
Yeah.
I'm only a visitor.
I would say probably generally the casement is what we're used to. I don't know if, I'm just trying to visualize having the entire window basically open out like that, so.
Well, historically, weren't they casement style window to begin with?
Double
hung. Well, double hung, no, they weren't.
Because that wasn't being
Right.
discussed.
Yeah.
Can we compare it to casement then?
Right.
Didn't even know about how airflow works.
I don't know how far out they crank, but I'm just envisioning people walking by and running into the window.
We would potentially have that issue on that side, and we have two other employees here too, if you have comments, let me know. We generally would have to be a little more careful on the east side. It has not been an issue. We used to have posts out there, but we did away with that years ago, and it hasn't been a problem. We're generally not cranking it all the way open.
Well, and my question is, how often do you actually even open the windows? If we're getting an HVAC system that you're trying to control the climate inside, you're really not even opening the windows that much. It's more for access or egress in an emergency.
There would be that factor, so the casement would be from that perspective. We do, spring, fall, we do, I had mine open today. But you're right, it's difficult with the HVAC system here currently, which is also being replaced, so it's difficult to factor all these things.
Is it common, John, may I ask, for a window of this size to be the awning style?
State the question again?
Is it common for a window of this size to be an awning
Yes.
style?
Yeah, it's everyday product for us.
Okay.
So the 70.5-inch tall ones that are the reference W2 have a limiter on them. So all these windows have the push bar hardware. I don't know if you're all familiar with our push bar hardware. It's what's used up at the annex building, but it's a European style hardware. It's a bar that comes up, goes down, and then you can push the window out. Allows the window to open about 12 inches. We do, with that same limiter that's on there, we can limit it so that it only opens 4 inches. It's typically for fall protection, but if you were concerned about the window being open on a sidewalk or something, you could put that 4-inch limit on that so that it would only open 4 inches. So.
Could you speak to maybe the science behind an awning window and air flow through a building versus a crank out?
Yeah, so the awning window, one of the benefits of that over a casement window is if you have the window open and it begins to rain, the rain doesn't come into the building. It's protected by that awning because it covers the complete opening still, even when it's open. The way the awning works, you have your typical casement opens or vertically, so you get the wind coming from each direction. The awning, when it opens up, if you got the wind blowing against the building, it hits the building and it rolls up, and then that awning will catch that breeze coming in. So we've done some in-house testing of airflow for our awning, and the awning, you don't just have the opening at the bottom, you have the opening on the sides as well. That little wedge shape that's on the sides that allows air to get in. So.
Okay, thank you. So we have, we're working our way down the list here. What was next on your list? Anything? We have awning versus casement. Do we need to get a feel for each of these as we're going?
And then that really kind of makes the decision. If you have that, then if you go with the awning, do you want to have a bar in it or not? Horizontal, vertical. So that's on the awning side of things. As far as tempered glass, one had tempered glass throughout, the other just had it on certain windows. So it gets a little.
Is H window all tempered?
And code was all tempered.
And code.
H had about half the windows.
I can attest to the awning windows. I have an awning window at my house, and it is very nice to be able to open the window when it's raining. Just my 2 cents on that. About how much is a cost difference for a tempered versus a non-tempered window? If we are trying to be consistent with that. Is there a big price difference from?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Karen?
I hesitate to suggest this, but I will. Since there are so many factors that we still need to look at the pros and cons of each, is it possible to, Tom's saying no, is it possible to have a subcommittee that would look at the details and come back to the next meeting? I mean, I want us to have new windows in the city hall, and so part of me wants to approve it now, but we've got lots of variations that we're talking about, or could we just make a decision based on the two companies and have staff work out some of the more details? Because I don't know about bars worse one way or the other.
Sure. Scott?
If you want to move forward and have windows installed this year, I recommend that you're going to have to make a decision. I'm not going to have time to work on this between now and the next meeting, I can tell you that. And if we don't make a decision soon, we'll not have any chance of installation this year.
Okay, so with that,
All right.
and with where everyone is with their thoughts about what type of window and about the top. Does anyone have a motion to make at this time?
I mean, I'll just say, I think, Enco's total here is, 95,000.
Exactly.
And, right.
So we don't have anything to compare.
Plus there's an add-on for arch, the arch glass.
No, that includes the arch. Glass, the 9,000 on top of the 86 is for the arch.
95
Oh,
includes the
yeah, I
add-on.
got, yep, gotcha. Yep, so it's 95, and so each window is at 67,000, correct?
Shows
So,
up to like 69.
yeah, so, okay, so roughly 70,000, we're at a $25,000 difference. I don't think if we went with all, tempered, it would reach that. I would assume that difference, so I guess I'm willing to, at this point, to make a motion that we approve H Windows proposal to install the windows in their proposal in City Hall.
Second.
With an awning style and glass at the top.
Yes.
So that's a motion by Dave and a second by Karen. And we have a comment.
I'm sorry, the dollar amount quoted actually was 85,000.
That's what I was gonna say, yeah.
Or 85 something.
It was 86 because it's 10% discount, so that's what I was gonna go to.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Okay, any other questions, comments, or discussion?
I'm fine with that. I think the only thing that I just want to point out is I do like the fact that Anco does have their own installers and doesn't have somebody else. And it's not that I don't trust who they got, that Carlson's recommended, but you know better than anyone. A specialty person who does windows, and they do a lot of them. I would imagine that's going to be quicker and better. They'll probably just do a better job installation. That was the biggest difference that I saw. Just pointing that out.
Sure. All right, anything else? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very, very much, both of you, or all of you, for coming here tonight and helping us through that decision. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for the opportunity.
You bet. Have a good night. All right. We will have windows. Next item is presentation of 2022 library report. Daryl Pendergrass, presenter. Daryl.
Well, I hope this is a lot less. I'm Daryl Pendergrass. I'm director of the Washburn Public Library. Yay. This, I come here each year at this time to do the annual report, and the annual report is, we tabulate how much we spent, how many checkouts we had, program numbers, all those kinds of things, and we send them to the Department of Public Instruction. I gave you the report that I sent, and then gave you the summary. So we're not going to reread all the documents. I have found, I've been here since 2005, I've found the annual report is very useful for predicting the budget for next year already. I can pretty much start narrowing it down even now in April of the year before. So we do that by take your total circulation, and we were at 24,700. We spent 183.8, and you do the math on that, and you come up with $7.41 a checkout. And there's a reimbursable checkout, and a reimbursable checkout is somebody from inside the county that's in a municipality or a township that doesn't have a library. They are reimbursable, and we get money from the county for that person. So we multiply that out, and at 100%, it comes to roughly $84,000. But Bayfield County only has to fund us every county in the state only has to fund us at 70% of that. So we're looking at a minimum amount next year of 58.8, which is 2,800 more than this year. So the goal for everybody who's, every library director is to keep your budget just going a little bit up so that you can capture that money from the county so that it's kind of balanced with any increases the city has. So let's say we're rolling along next year or in July, August of this year, I should say, and funding's tight like it could be. And the city just gives us what they gave us last year. We're still going to see an increase of $2,800. Which is okay. And whenever you figure that when I came here in 2005, we were at 161,000 total budget, and this year we're at 194. We've only gone up. I think that's pretty good in 20 years. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
So that's the money part of it. I would like to say, I'd like to tell everybody that today we turned on our automatic door elevator. For the first time in the history of Washburn, somebody in a wheelchair could go up our parking ramp that we put in 3 or 4 years ago, come down the sidewalk, push a button, open the automatic door, come into the library, push a button, and the elevator will open. They can go up to the top floor, bottom floor. They can go to meetings on their own. They don't have to have a driver or another person. They can take the BART bus. And that's really great whenever you consider that Bayfield County, by some reports, in the next 10 years is going to be the oldest county in the state, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
we're getting there.
a little joke aside, everybody all my friends tell me that we put all that in so my wife can make me keep going to work. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So that's you have the annual report. We fired up the elevator today. Ms. Tulowitzki was served on the library board. It's great. She's a part of the elevator part of it. Mr. Lindsay was a part of our egg hunt participation with his family. You've been a participant in the past.
I tried really hard to find the martini bar.
That's the other thing. The library has been 2 times a martini bar.
I spent a whole hour looking there, and I was at the right area, couldn't find it, and the next day somebody else did. So yeah, I use the library for all sorts of great things.
And my kids, it was their after-school care for many years. Thank you, Daryl.
I'll tell, first of all, before I go, if you have any questions, if there's anything you want from me, I'm there a lot. All the kids think I live there. You can call me. I want to hear the good things, obviously, but I also want to hear the things that you're hearing what else can we do? What else should we be doing? I don't take the job personal. If there's somebody thinks we're not doing something we should be doing, please, I don't know that unless you tell me.
I can't think of a thing you're not doing.
I gotta tell you one
Was
thing.
there jazz there or something like that?
Jazz,
How did I miss?
I gotta tell you, the last Martini Bar, I don't play the Martini Bar game. And so they have these clues, and then you try to find the prize. And everybody kept coming in on this thing, they're all over in Agatha Christie. I'm like, what the heck's going on with Agatha Christie today? Everybody wants to read that. And that's where it was over.
Well, it was X marks the spot. Couldn't figure it out for the life of me, but an aerial view
Yeah.
of the library is a perfect.
Ah.
I was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense.
But
I didn't know that.
before I step down, unless you have a question, or if somebody wants to tell me something,
I have a question. What can we do to help the library do even more and greater things? The only thing that I can think of is encourage people to not go to the Ashland Library to check your stuff out. Get it from Washburn, just order it through here, because then we don't have to pay Ashland.
well, if you think
Because
of
the
it,
same thing happens when we go to other
whenever,
libraries,
if you
right?
think of the library as part of like a chamber, like people come to the grocery store and then they come to the library. I mean, if we can help everybody in town, they'll use the library. We want the people from Cornucopia, Herbster, Port Wing, and also our townspeople to come. We did have, I don't want to say a setback, but there was some hesitancy with COVID. I'm not going to use that as a crutch, but it's been slow for parents to trust in having the library as an option after school, because they've been unsure if we're going to pull out like all of a sudden, and then they've lost their after school person. So we're open, we're ready, we're there, we got things, we're ready for them.
Bring it on.
I just want to thank Mr. Kluver. Very easy to work with him. City Hall, it's great. Everybody looks out for each other. Jerry was instrumental. Jerry from the Public Works was instrumental in getting this elevator, because he's a lot meaner than me, so he was able to call people and yell at them, and I was like, darn it, get down here. And he was not. He was a whole different language. But anyways, thank you. Stop down, see me, call me, let me know what you want, let me know what you need. Is there anything else?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for saying. How's your computers doing there? Every time I go in there, there's always people using your computers that you have.
Well, we have 6 public computers, and before COVID, they were used a lot more. But I think when COVID came, because we weren't open, I think a lot of people said, well, I need a computer, so they either bought phones or computers. But there's still a core group. Oddly enough, our fax machine gets used all the time. And I always say to myself, if I had a business, I would have a fax machine, because there's still like real estate, lots of medical papers and things like that, and they still fax machine.
Okay, I was wondering that.
And do people use the computer to print?
They do a lot of mailing labels, a lot of UPS labels, return labels. And the Wi-Fi's on 24 hours. And then the one number that I have is that I think we had 12,000, how many thousands of, we had 15,600 individual uses of the public Wi-Fi last year.
Wow.
And so that also contributes to people being able to come up from Minneapolis, Milwaukee, out of the area, and it's on 24 hours. They're parked in the alley, they're parked on the sidewalks, and they're able to do their business and their work and still recreate here.
So that's just individual users?
That's individual.
Not connections. So those users may have come back repeatedly.
Right.
Okay. Wow. It's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot, and it's a service, and it's.
Nice.
But it's not something that's charged for, it's not.
Nope, it's not charged for. I know darn well the neighbors are getting free Wi-Fi.
My only point is
But they come over and help shovel sometimes with the Cracker Jack snow removal.
And I have to say, I do appreciate the decorations. Just seeing the change in decorations as you go by.
I have nothing to do with the decoration.
But you're overseeing people maybe who.
Sure, we'll go with that.
Thank you.
Thanks for everything you do.
Okay, thank you, thank you.
All right, thank you very, very much. Our next item is public hearing, discussion, and action on ordinance 2023-002, adopting the City of Washburn Comprehensive Plan 2023 to 2043. And as part of that, considering the Harbor Commission request, or is that a separate? Do they go together? Yeah, okay. The Harbor Commission requests to change future land use map regarding lot 48 from waterfront mixed use to marina. So with that, I would look for a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Motion by Laura, second by Tom. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Our public hearing is open. If anyone would like to make any comments on the comprehensive plan update that is up for consideration.
Are you including Harbor in this? I didn't hear you.
It's for anyone, yeah.
Okay.
Bring it on.
Michelle, are you online? Rebecca?
Yes.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you, Michelle.
And some stuff in the background. Maybe mute unless you're talking, Michelle. Okay, thanks.
Okay. Yeah, I was just checking to see if Michelle is there, because she can maybe answer some questions or kind of fill in on this. So, okay. Do have kind of a statement I'm just going to kind of read.
If you could just state your name, sir, and.
I will do that. My name is Nicholas Szyminski. I am from 845 County Highway C here in Washburn. I am also a member of the Harbor Commission. And I am here basically to represent the Washburn Harbor Commission here tonight. The Harbor Commission includes our 6 members of the City of Washburn. And there'll be a 7th, including our outgoing president and Carl Broberg from the City Council.
Tony, can you mute that person? Sorry.
It's Michelle.
Oh.
Okay. Again, the Harbor Commission has asked that the City Council discuss the zoning change to Lot 48, which will be reflected in the 2023 Comprehensive Plan. The Harbor Commission, on a majority of 7-0 vote, has requested this change, and that's partially why I'm here tonight. Some of the discussions from members of the Harbor Commission have asked the question as to why the change of the mixed use to marina has so far been met with resistance. During the Planning Commission meeting in February 2023, a plan was presented to the Washburn Planning Commission asking for a change of Lot 48 to marina zoning. This request was made by a current business owner here in the City of Washburn who owns a storage building currently on and near the Washburn Marina. The plan for an 8,000 square foot building to be used for an indoor boat storage. Current zoning, which currently does prohibit the use of an indoor boat storage on Lot 48. As part of this plan, the owner indicated that construction could happen within the next year or even this year. The owner also indicated that he already had down payments and a waiting list for customers for this building. This proposal was ultimately rejected on a 4-2 vote during that meeting. At this point in time, Lot 48 is the only piece of property available that currently is butted up to current Washburn Marina zoning. The last 2 businesses now that have made an attempt to use Lot 48 have been this current proposal as well as the Pearl Beach Agreement. There has been no other request for Lot 48 since the Pearl Beach Agreement, to my knowledge. If this indicates anything, it should show that there is a demand for city land that is for sale and designated for marina zoning. There are businesses looking for land zoned marina, so why not have at least one lot available, either in the city or unused or for sale, with a marina zoning designation. Under this current comp plan, nowhere else in the city of Washburn will we have land designated for marina use. The Washburn Marina is a vital business for the city of Washburn. The Washburn Marina is over $1 million a year business that is owned by the city of Washburn and operate under an agreement with Michelle, who is with us here tonight, and her management company. There are only a couple $1 million a year businesses in town, and the Washburn Marina, again, is one of them. The Harbor Commission uses income from the Washburn Marina to operate. The Harbor Commission does not ask for money from the city of Washburn in order to operate. This is due to the money made in profits by the marina. Cost to operate, like everything else in today's economy, has increased, and this is no different for the marina. In 2022, over $30,000 was spent to replace 8 tires on the travel lift alone. It seems like every month, thousands are being spent on electrical, water-related issues, not to mention aging equipment and buildings needing repairs. The Harbor Commission completed an engineering assessment in 2022 to expand the parking lot for boat trailers, and after paying over $20,000 for this assessment, a quote of $500,000 was given to expand the parking lot. Most of the money is due to the issues with soil on the property. Excuse me. Most of the money is due to the issues with the soil on the property that are not beneficial for building a parking lot and would be even worse for any future buildings on that land. It is in the best interest of the city of Washburn to support the Harbor Commission and the marina. A large amount of tourism in the city of Washburn revolves around boating and camping. I'm sure if you've ever driven through the West End Park in the summer, you may notice how many boats there are with the campers. The Washburn Harbor Commission also operates a fish cleaning station that is open to the public. This is something that Bayfield, Port Superior, Ashland do not offer. Port Superior, I think, does have one, but it is not open to the public, to my knowledge. In the last couple of years, the Harbor Commission has put over $20,000 in upgrades to keep the cleaning station operational. There is also future plans that the Washburn Harbor Commission will become, there is also future plans that the Washburn will become one of the only marinas in the area with an ADA lift, as a current Pier 4 expansion is now underway. This expansion is not cheap and is going to cost around $150,000 of investment. These are all dollars coming from reinvestment into the Washburn Marina by the Harbor Commission. Parking lot resurfacing is another item on this year's current agenda at a price of approximately $80,000. A few other notes I would like to make about the Washburn Marina that makes our city unlike any others is we have a travel lift that is the largest on Lake Superior. Not to mention a commercial dock that is the largest actively used dock in the Apostle Islands area. In 2022, if I recall, Michelle has also indicated she had a wait list of approximately 40 or more people waiting for slips to come into the marina. Many of the jobs the Washburn Marina takes in are major boat repairs for boats all over the lake. Currently at the marina, staff is performing work on tugs, research boats for the Great Lakes, as well as other large boats that transport people to and from Isle Royale, as an example, as well as around the Apostle Islands. Some years the marina has more of these large boats in for work than other years, depending on the maintenance schedules. Based on this, space needs to be found for these large jobs. The majority of the income does come from maintenance on these boats at the marina. The ferries from Bayfield and Madeline Island are also serviced in Washburn. General commerce in our area would be greatly affected if not for the role of the Washburn Marina. The Harbor Commission and the Marina don't ask for much from the city. However, in regards to Lot 48, this is one of the agenda items that can and will benefit the Washburn Marina and its future income. Lot 48 is approximately 1.5 acres of land available, of approximately the 8 acres available in that area. In closing, the Washburn Harbor Commission is requesting the City Council discuss the issue and to reconsider its decision that was made for zoning of Lot 48. This is a small decision that will have big impacts for helping the marina grow and survive. And those are my comments from the Harbor Commission. I would also like to make a public comment. This is not for the Harbor Commission, but this would be my own comment. I think it would be a shame to see this piece of land still empty 5 years from now. Like I said, we've had businesses that have wanted to come here, and most notably this new one that has wanted to invest here. It would put it on a tax roll. It would put investment. And I just think it would be a good idea, as we're going to close in on this comp plan, to have another piece of land at least available with a marine designation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nick. Anyone else here for the public hearing who would like to make a comment about the comprehensive plan update? Rob?
Ralph Edwards, 221 West 6th Street. I'll make this really brief, and I don't know if this relates directly to comprehensive plan update, but I just want to put in my 2 cents to support the architectural review expansion ordinance, because I think there's probably no more vital measure we can do to Bayfield Street by the revitalization and beautification, and anything we can do to increase the attractiveness of Bayfield Street would really help the city a lot. That's my 2 cents on that. Thank you.
Anyone else? Anyone online? Okay, with that, I would look for a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Motion by Carl, second by Tom, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries, thank you. So Plan Commission spent a lot of time going through the update to the comp plan. May I grab this as a visual? This is what we went through. And we took our time, and it went longer than we had wanted it to. All of the updates were made by Northwest Regional Planning as far as the data goes and the charts and those sorts of things. We looked at the language and the intentions. And, you know, there's some very specific plans in here for the area that encompasses Lot 48. And I think, I don't have it, I don't have a page number right now in front of me, but I think that was something that the Plan Commission considered, was the language specific to that area. And that is why I think it ultimately failed to pass Plan Commission for that change to occur. It was not the intention of the comprehensive plan to have that be marina with a boat storage building.
But page 4-5 of the comprehensive plan that's proposed said it includes language to expand the boat storage facilities marina.
So that leads me to the question of, is there any other property that could accommodate a boat storage building that would be feasible? It seemed as though the person who was wanting to build the storage building was open to considering another location if one existed.
Well, there's practical issues involved in moving large boats from the marina to off-site. Now, we're talking about moving 10 to 15 boats, which potentially could be 10 to 12 feet wide up Bayfield Street. Number one, the trailer that is used, we have 3 trailers down there that are capable of moving. None of them are legally permitted on the highway. They have no brakes, they have no lights, they have to be hauled with the front end loader. So visualize Bayfield Street with front end loaders moving boats.
Well, depending on where the property is, yeah.
Depending on where.
Carl, along those lines, that's the question that I really have, is that we talk about in here about, my thing is visuals and how it fits in, and it's that overview. And so it says that it's gonna be because of that, they know that's a concern, it's gonna be like wider and shorter building, so these boats that you're talking about is it gonna accommodate, they still have to go on a trailer, and those boats likely might not fit if you don't do something tall, right? I know I have a boat and I can only store it in one place because it's so tall with the thing, where we used to store it, I would store it somewhere else. So I'm just a little confused on the type of boat that was gonna fit in this area because of that. So can you tell me about that?
It depends on the boat.
On the boat.
Now, the boat that I had would never fit in that building.
Right.
But it would fit in the other buildings. We're talking about boats here that have a retail value of somewhere between 150 and $1,000 and $1 million. Okay, and so my boat, the one that I sold last year, is 36 feet long, 12 feet wide, and if I knocked the radar mast down and the fly bridge down, it was on shore, it was 15 feet tall. You couldn't move that off the site. It would fit in the 2 existing storage buildings if I chose to put it in. Now, the advantage, you can talk about the advantage of inside storage versus outside storage. There's a whole raft of issues involved in storing boats outside. It would take me 3 days to winterize that boat and 2 days to recommission it in the spring. If you put it in the building, it takes a day. So there's huge issues. And oh, by the way, that shrink wrap cover that they put over those boats, that's $1,000.
Right.
So, there's economic reasons to do that. The size of the boat depends on whether or not it's a 3-story trawler versus a smaller, like a tier or something like that, sea rig that doesn't have the height. Certainly a 16-foot wall, you're gonna get those boats in there, and like a tier would be around $750,000.
So the smaller boats, was my understanding, would be the intention would be to store up on the top.
Smaller boats being a relative term.
Absolutely.
Shorter boats.
Shorter boats.
Not
Because
necessarily narrow.
I think the proposal was for an 18-foot wall.
16 to 18 foot.
16 to 18.
Could you bring up those pictures we talked about?
And the comparison of this to like what we've worked about, because I know this was a concern when we were looking at, are we talking now? Do we have some questions over here this part?
We're in discussion, yes.
So, sorry, I just want to make sure. So when we were talking about the Pearl Beach, the Pearl Beach unit, we had a lot of discussion on the visuals, right? And how to make that so that and I can't remember how the height of what we talked about.
It was about the same because they were going to put heavy equipment in.
Okay.
So here's a view down Central Avenue. You can see to the southeast, you've got the highway buildings. Okay, the next picture. There's the view the current view down Central Avenue of the lake to the southwest. So if you look at that row of trees behind that telephone pole, that's lot 48.
Right.
So it's essentially the view of the lake is already obscured by buildings.
It depends on where you are. So walking down Omaha Street, right now you can see over the buildings to the shoreline on the other side, including the pork pines.
Would you pull up the next picture?
And I'm pretty sure that view would be obscured.
There's a view from Harvard View Drive from the west looking east. Lot 48 is beyond those two buildings on the left, on the right, behind those hardwood trees. And you can see the highway buildings in the background. In the next picture. There's a view from Harvard View Drive at lot 48. Take away the 3 feet of snow there. Those pine trees obscure the storage building now, and you have no visual appearance of the lake at all from that spot.
So essentially, what you're looking at there, those pine trees are probably 20 feet tall, right?
Yep.
And so essentially, you're gonna have a building at where those pine trees are. That's essentially what you're gonna do.
No, it would be this side of the pine trees.
This side of the pine trees.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, in a couple, maybe a couple feet shorter. Yes.
Now, take the same view from Omaha, which we discussed, creating a park in the Omaha property, trading it for Wickdall, possibly. I mean, it's been in discussion. Now, putting that park and look out, you're not going to see it. That's a very different view. So,
Not from behind the existing forestry building. That's already blocked. The view from Omaha is already blocked where lot 48 is by forestry building.
no.
Yes.
Not when you're looking straight out
But
over
you're
the
across the
marina.
street from Stage North.
This-
There's
this-
no way the county building is.
This view is taken from the intersection.
I know.
It's taken from the intersection of Omaha.
Yeah,
and
I'm talking the
You're in
block
the
to
middle
the,
of-
the block to the west, across from Stage North.
Right,
It's
right
not
across from Stage North, looking out, it's a beautiful view.
I just want to know when Washburn is going to get a clue about putting metal pole buildings on our lake shore. I mean, it has hindered us for decades, and it's just, it's foolishness. There's plenty of room in the marina to do this. These are smaller boats that can be transported to a spot that we used to have before we sold it out for $5,000 or gave some to the county for their forestry building. This building could have been there. And where was the need then? I don't know if there was one.
The practical side of moving boats from the marina up County Road C, down Bayfield Street, up
No,
County
I'm
Road C.
talking about
Right down.
right by the ballpark. Right where we sold a huge lot for $5,000, which half of it's used. The other chunk is the Bayfield County Forestry building that could have easily held one of these buildings, and the boats could have been transported there.
That bill has been wrong.
The problem is
That bill has been wrong.
no, I know, but that's my point. We keep making these same mistakes over and over and over again on a lake shore that should be, the people that live here. There's very few advantages to living here. One of them is the lake. People live here because of the lake. And the people, when you decide to move here and live in this community, you are taking a financial hit from being here. And one of the only advantages to being here is that lake, and that is why I'm here. I could make 3 times as much money as I do elsewhere, but I don't. I live here for here. And it makes no sense to put a storage building. This isn't even something that's going to employ people. It's nonsense, and I just don't get it. I don't get the it's like Groundhog Day over and over and over again. putting metal buildings on our lake shore. It's insane. That's all I have to say.
Can I just draw attention real quick to, on page 4-5, where you were referring, it talks about, existing waterfront development, 4-6, sorry. And there's a small paragraph that talks about vacant city land. And it says, the city of Washburn owns vacant land near the waterfront. These areas have the potential for commercial and or residential use as well as public recreation use. Personally, I don't own a boat. And the only view I get is from the land, looking out at the lake. And so I have a hard time envisioning that being helpful in any way. Obviously, I know the ways that it would be helpful, but for the enjoyment of people that are on the shore who don't have the ability to buy a boat, that's all we have is the view of the lake.
Well, let me address a couple of things. I'm not a native of Washburn. I first started coming to Washburn in 1988 because I owned a boat that I moved from St. Croix River to Washburn. I had a choice of marinas. I got a marina shop from Ashland all the way up to Schooner Bay, and I chose Washburn. So I've had a boat here since 1988. I didn't live here until 2009, or 2009. So to say that it doesn't attract people, we don't move here because of it.
I never said that.
Well,
What I'm
somebody
saying,
did.
what I'm saying is the view.
I'm just saying, the reason I came here, I didn't come here because I wanted to live in Washburn. I came here because I wanted to use the marina. And I still wanted to use the marina until the point at which I sold my boat last year.
And did you ever use boat storage?
Yes, I did. I used boat storage there.
Okay.
So the reason why I used.
Everyone has a personal story.
The reason why I use boat storage there is because you can work on the boat in the wintertime inside.
Sure.
So the answer to that is yes, and the reason why people want to store their boats inside is they come up here in the wintertime and work on their boats.
I understand that the demand is there. I understand that it would be a financial benefit. The question is this the place? And is there any other place that could accommodate this sort of?
There's no other practical place, because again, we're talking, you'd say smaller boats, but they're still 36 feet long, 10 feet wide. They still need equipment to move them. Moving a boat of that size is a major evolution. It's a significant one. And you think if we're gonna take them up the streets and down the highway,
And there's no way that this could be done on the property that the marina currently.
well, then we lose outside boat storage, especially for commercial vessels. And moving those travel lists around with boats as long as 70 feet, 80 feet, the longest boat that I know of that we move on the marina is 80 feet long. You don't turn those on a dime. You need a little space to maneuver those around with. And then, when we have, like for instance, the Madeline Island Ferry, the Madeline, which was built in Washburn, I mean, that just barely makes it out of the well. So we've got 3 car ferries. We have the tour boat from Duluth. We bring boats down here from Thunder Bay for storage, inside storage. We bring boats from Copper Harbor for inside storage. They bring a lot of work orders with them. Michelle can tell you she has a full book of work orders on boats that are stored here.
Is there any chance of negotiating with the county for any of the unused land that they now own to get it back and do something there? Because that's off to the side where there's already buildings blocking.
The last time I think we discussed that, which is a couple of years ago, they weren't interested in released annular land. If anything's changed, we haven't had a recent conversation, but I think the answer is no.
And then I have a quick procedural question. Is there any other time when this request to change the future land use map could be considered in the future? If we were to pass the comprehensive plan as is currently, and we do some further research on the pros and cons, potential other sites, anything, before we just give up this last
We
bit of.
previously approved the building similar to the one that was being proposed.
At some point, some council did, yes.
Yes.
But right now, this is our opportunity to look at our comprehensive plan, and so many places are talking about preserving the view. And yes, boats bring tourists who sometimes move here. However, there are other kinds of tourists who are attracted here that are gonna, bring their outside money into our community, spend it here, and then go home. And those are all good kinds of money coming into the community. We get volunteers from people who move to our community. Yes, there's all sorts of benefits. Is this the right spot? I'm not sold on it. Did you?
I'll answer your question as to procedure. Yes, the comprehensive plan, future land use map can be amended. It goes back through the plan commission recommendation, the public hearing, and then adopting essentially the same process that we're doing now, but it would just be specifically tailored to that. And that would be required for any future zoning change on this parcel. And then one other thing that just addressed Carl's comment on the placing an indoor storage on the current marina property would displace outdoor boat storage. The current zoning designation of this parcel, the mixed use waterfront, does allow for outdoor boat storage. So it's just a question, the distinction there between indoor storage and outdoor. Outdoor is allowed on this lot, just not the indoor building. So displacing some of that outdoor storage from the existing marina could be moved into that lot.
Could we even lease the lot for that?
Yeah, that would be permissible.
We've talked about this on the harbor commission, that option must have come up.
We try to give up land down at the marina where we need. Again, we have to realize when we move big boats down there on the travel, we'd be giving up area. Now, we did look at one time at putting a storage building down there. There's all kinds of issues because there's underground utilities that come into play. So we had a request, a private party wanted to build a building down there. We looked at it. We'd have to shoehorn it in and move all of the utilities, the sewer lines, the water lines, everything.
Okay. Did you have something?
Yeah,
And then Karen?
I just wanted to clarify something, and articulate a little bit of what I was talking about why I'm here. It's not just me, it's the people that have chosen to stay here, at their, Washburn is not the poster child for wealth, right? So,
as evidenced by our earlier public
right.
hearing,
So
54% of vote moderate
people
income.
that choose to stay here, whether for whatever reason, they deserve to reap some, the very few benefits that we have, and that one of those benefits is being able to look at our lake and not uphold it. And every single citizen in Washington deserves to see the water that they choose to live next to. It shouldn't be reserved for folks that have $1 million yachts and lake houses. It just shouldn't.
Karen?
My comment, and I sat in on the plan commission, most of their discussion as they put the comprehensive plan together, and I want to commend them. They did, that's hard work and they did good work. It's, I think, a very complete document. Regarding lot 48, we talk about the view of the lake. And I guess just for our discussion, I would submit to you that there are many views of Lake Superior in Washburn. There's West End Park. There's the walking trail. There are 7 acres on the, or approximately 7 acres on the Omaha property that would not be impacted if this lot were sold for a building. There's Memorial Park. So when we talk about the view of Lake Superior, I would submit that it isn't just Plot 48 that has a view of Lake Superior. There are many ways to view Lake Superior. And I've thought about this a lot. I probably have been in Washburn longer than anyone at this table, since I was born here, and I am now 78. So I know that the importance of Lake Superior views is something that I grew up with, something that people have moved here have valued. And I think that 1.5 acres does not remove all of the views of Lake Superior. There are still other views of Lake Superior.
I would agree with that. I just think that we have discussed turning that Omaha property into a park, green space area. Whether or not that's going to happen, I don't know. I don't even know if it's possible if we can trade the Omaha property for Wickdall Park. And like I said before, we all know what we can do with Wickdall Park. We don't know what we can do with Omaha because it's always been just a disaster even trying to figure out how to develop it. But we know exactly how to develop the Wickdall Parkland. So if that's even a possibility in the near future or distant future, why would we hinder the views of a possible park area overlooking the lake in lieu of a storage building for boats that could be stored elsewhere?
And Dave, you do, I'm sorry, Madam Mayor, just to comment back. And you don't believe that the two could coexist?
I don't.
That the storage building that we're talking about is 1.5 acres. There are still another, 7 acres left with vegetation planted around and, a building that's attractive. There's still 7 acres that could be a park, correct?
Could be. But the view of the marina and the city dock would be obstructed by that building.
Okay.
And we are
Try
not.
not to view the lake, but you should still be able to see the lake from the 7 acres.
Some of the lake, sure.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Sorry, we already had our public hearing and now the floor is closed for the public until you get on council next week.
You'll hear, believe me, there's yet another idea.
Jen?
Just the reference to the Pearl Beach building.
Mm-hmm.
We had a lot of similar discussions with that. And I think a lot of the council, when we did go for that, it was, the discussion was, we had jobs and an industry. And so I think that was a little bit, to me, that was a little bit different. I spent a lot of time at the marina. And by the way, I love the marina. I love the facilities down there. I love everything about the marina. But a lot of times when I'm down there, I always look and I always think, gosh, those big storage buildings, and we have trailers everywhere. I feel like sometimes that there might be some spots there that we could do some better. And I know it's hard because I know boats are big, but I also know that we have I actually like the space down there. And so it is nice. We have a lot of space down there for a marina. I feel like when I go into some other places, some marinas are super tight, right? We do have space. So I know putting another building down there is probably not best case scenario. But I also know if you own a boat, you better be able to move that boat. I don't like having a trailer and I don't like moving my boat, but guess what? I have to do it. And so you pay to move your boat or you pay to have it stored on that. We have a lot of storage area. And so to me, the main question is this the place where you want a metal building and a storage unit? And we can talk all we want about like putting vegetation and screening, but when is the last time you've seen a nice vegetation screening of a metal building? You know, and I think Ashland, it's probably how they started. I drive by Ashland, and I think, gosh, hope those people in Culver's like that do that, like, oh, I hope that, you know, like, and I think that's how it starts. Like, we let a piece go. We let the yurts go there. We start to, like, we're starting to just, and it makes me nervous, you know, one piece at a time. And I feel like we are really special, that we do have this much lakefront left. And I think taking the time to make sure this is true, and it's the same, this is my same mantra with the RV park that we set. This is the same conversation, the same mantra, like, we are lucky. And so if we're gonna make moves, we better make sure that that's what we want in our lakefront, because it's not going away. And I feel like we have a huge opening of what we want to do in that area, that Omaha Street, and I still want to see, I've been wanting to see for 10, 15 years of what we can do there. And everybody's all like, let's make a decision, let's do something. I'm like, I'm okay waiting, because you know what? It's worth waiting. And I feel like to do just something because we want to do something is not a reason to do it. So I'm just cautious.
If you read the comprehensive plan, you will see that throughout the entire document, we talk about the views, the enjoyment of the lakefront. I just don't think it marries with the intent of that document. That's my opinion. Anyone else? Dave?
Well, I just wanted to point out
last
that
round
we've got, at the planning commission, we also discussed the two, the owner of the two storage units that are down there currently, adding on to them and trying to figure out if that was a possibility.
I think
There's also
a practical answer.
Let's just
Well,
let this.
Okay, well, there may be, but, you know, is he willing to entertain that possibility? And there's also, I don't know the last time you've been down in the marina, but, you know, there's piles of junk with old gas grills and stuff. I mean, I think there's room for improvement. There's old boats there that have moved in decades. There's boats for sale, and I don't understand why. And I know that they're receiving money for the storage of those boats out on the marina land. But is that the best use? Is Washburn's Marina the dumping ground for everyone's maritime junk that they want to try to sell, or just keep? You know, if it's just keeping stuff for people, I don't know why that's worth more than a view. You know, like we're going to sell out the valuable space in the marina to hold old fishing vessels that are never going to float again, and put up a storage building that's going to obstruct our view of the lake, and yet another metal building on our lakeshore. I don't see where we can, how we can connect those two things. We're gonna just let our marina area now that's there get muckied up with a bunch of junk, and then because it's all filled with junk, now we've got to put up another building to store someone's not junk. So it's just.
Sure. Laura, did you have your hand up?
I did, because we never really have a number when it comes to what kind of income is going to be. I realize there's like, it's hard to account for money coming in because I appreciate it and have being able to work on the roads here. I think there's value there too. But as far as the tax base, or whether there's residential people running and paying water bills, or there's a business providing jobs, or, I mean, this has its own value. But without that kind of
Well, I can answer some of that right now.
you can't. I mean, but there is more. So I'm just gonna throw out there as well as right across the avenue, we have this corridor of industrial that I still, even though I asked about this, how did this happen? Does anybody know? Why are there already pole buildings on this corridor? And it's not that far off from that. and there are going to be buildings on this land anyway. I was with the votes to not do this years ago, and it was partly because as specified in here, is that we didn't have any specific plan that we could all say yes to. And now there's a specific plan, so it's a little easier for me to be supportive. I agree with the views. I don't like the county garage and junk and piles down there. I would love to see that be pursued again, or a building down on that lower area where it's I know there's storage of valuable things, but it at times looks like a graveyard of and junk. But I don't see saying no to this on the precedence of that it'll block the view, because there are other views, and there are going to be buildings, and there are obstructions, and we already have pole buildings. So I would like to hear it if anyone has anything to contribute about when this turned industrial in this neighboring corridor. Anyway.
Real quick, this is, I just want to remind everyone that this is currently, the plan for this area in the comp plan is for mixed use, commercial / residential.
Could be a pole building. No.
No.
No, oh, right, that's why they need to change it.
Well, yeah, but
And-
previously,
and-
we authorized. the-
Sorry, hold
the
on.
Building.
Hold on. So I'm just reminding everyone what this is currently, that there is a current plan in there conceptually for mixed-use waterfront development. Okay, that's the goal of this throughout the plan, and has been until, that's what's being considered, is to change that.
Right, and the goal of
Jen,
that,
Go ahead.
just a couple things. So the goal of that mixed-use residential was to try to get our, community and people who are driving by to go down to our waterfront, right? To go down to the marina. And so, I've agreed since day one, the fact that our business park is one block of I have never agreed with that. I gotta let that go because we sold all those lots. But the fact that was our business park was crazy. And we all agreed. I mean, I've been talking about that for the past 20 years. Completely crazy that our business park was over there, but we had no other place to put it. It's been part of the plan since I don't know, maybe the 80s. I'm not gonna blame you. I'm not gonna blame you, but it's been there for a long time. But that doesn't mean that we take another piece and we change it to something else because we have buildings over here. So if we screw up over here, doesn't mean we keep screwing up all the way along. So we keep talking about, everybody keeps talking about how, I wish that the county building wasn't there. Well, someday it might be, but just because it's there doesn't mean we keep doing it. So that, to me, that's where I'm making that break. I'm making that break because we've been talking about getting people down to the waterfront. And trust me, it's starting to happen. It's starting to happen. We're starting to get more and more people going down towards our waterfront. It's happening. And so I feel like, again, putting a metal building there, I'm just not so sure I'm ready to vote yes on that. I'm going to be completely honest. I don't love
So speaking of a vote, I would really like to hear a motion at this point.
I move to amend the land use map of lot 48 in the comprehensive plan and change it from mixed use waterfront to marina.
And that is along with approving the comprehensive plan with that change? Or is that just
I don't know.
the change of the
I don't know
land
if
use?
there's any other changes to the comprehensive plan that somebody else wants to make, but this is the one I want to make.
So your motion is to do just this, change the future land use map regarding lot 48 to marina?
Yeah.
Okay, is there a second to that motion?
Second the motion.
Motion by Carl and a second by Karen to change the future land use map regarding lot 48 from waterfront mixed use to marina. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed.
Opposed.
So that was, who was in favor?
3 in
Tom,
favor,
Karen, and Carl?
3 and 3. I get to vote for once? Nay.
Madam Mayor, I move approval of the comprehensive plan that's been presented.
Second.
Motion by Karen, second by Dave. Any further discussion on that?
Say ordinance.
Oh, the ordinance twenty
Ordinance,
twenty-three
yes. I move for approval of ordinance 23-002.
Dave, you're fine with that?
Yes.
Any other discussion on the comprehensive plan? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you for the good discussion. Thank you for trying to do something that I know is needed. I just don't think that this is the right, well, anyway, I'll stop my comment here. Yep. Okay, our next item is public hearing, discussion and action on approval of recommended changes to the land sale list, which is tab 6 of your packet.
Madam Mayor, I move that we open for a public hearing, for a public hearing.
Okay, motion by Karen, second by Tom. Thank you to open for a public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Is there anyone here who would like to speak to the recommended changes to the land sale list? If so, please step forward to the microphone or raise your hand online, and Tony will acknowledge you. This is on the list of real properties for sale, as outlined in the packet. If you could please state your name and address.
Jewel Pickards, 17 East 3rd Street. Does this also include the property you just got done talking about, lot 48?
It is on the for sale list, yes. Lot 48 is.
Okay. Because in relation to the discussion you had before, I would have been in favor of giving that to the, or not giving it, but having that labeled for the marina. One thing that I've noticed, I've been watching some of these city council meetings and so forth, and some of the things that have been going on, and just in a short time, it seems to be like a lot of the people aren't for business. And I don't understand that, because you're talking about money and needing money for the city. Well, why not make decisions so you can have more of a tax base and have businesses come in? And if you can get more of an income from the marina, I mean, we're not talking about putting pole barns along the entire lake shore or whatever. And there are many places you can go to see the lake and go around. I mean, I just don't understand why there's such a push to not be for business. I just don't get it. So that's my 2 cents.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else have any comments on the land sale list?
Good evening, y'all. Lee House, 329 West 5th Street. Yeah, I agree with the previous speaker. In the meetings that I've been at, when there's been discussions about wanting to pour cement slabs and park RVs on the west end of town and expand the campground, and that's not going to destroy the view of the lakefront, but putting a metal building up by the marina on lot 48, which would give revenue to the city, it is going to destroy the view for a 1.5 acre. It just kind of doesn't seem like those two ideas are running, they're contradictory. And so again, like her, I'm just kind of at a loss as to why that wouldn't be considered from a revenue or economic standpoint, because that seems to be a main concern is economic development. And, so I know the gent that was just here from the marina, left, but I would think he might have something to add as well. So,
Thank you. Just to clarify one thing, had you given comments previously, not wanting development down by the campground? If I recall correctly?
Yeah, going east of 8th Street.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Yes,
I'm just trying to,
staying in the campground, staying where it is, and not expanding it.
okay, thank
And
you.
taking land away, that's scenic land to be
Understood.
developed.
Thank you. Which is, I think is the same thing we're talking about now. Okay, and, sure, thank you. Is there anyone online or anyone else who would like to give public comment? All right.
Madam Mayor, I move that we close the public hearing.
Motion by Karen, second by Tom to close the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, is there a motion to approve the for sale list?
Madam Mayor, I move to approve the list of real properties for sale as indicated in our packets.
Second.
Motion by Karen, second by Dave. Any further discussion, questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we still have a long way to go.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I just have a quick question.
Sure.
So like the city, the land that's for sale that we just talked about, that the boat landing or the boat storage place was approved.
Lot 48.
Lot 48. There's a lot of lots that are for sale around there.
Correct.
And the difference that we're talking about is like if.
What they're zoned.
What they're zoned. So
Yeah.
a lot of times, some development doesn't even come to council if it's within zoning. So for
Correct.
example, I just want to state like, like the Dollar General, whatever, like that didn't even come to council because it was like within the zoning, it was part of planning commission, got approved for business and moved on.
Correct.
And so the things that come to council where we're debating on appropriateness is because of zoning and keeping things in a certain way according to our comprehensive plan.
Thank you.
I just want to put that out there because there's a big difference there. I get frustrated sometimes when constantly being told that I don't enjoy like bringing in businesses and like businesses because it's further from the truth.
Correct. And that those sorts of things do happen all the time.
All the time.
And this is for sale within the existing zoning. So we're hoping for development there, just not having to change the zoning to get it done.
And the Pearl Beach stuff that we voted for, that was within the zone. There was no zoning changes that we needed for that business.
That was because you can store equipment in the building, but you can't store boats.
Correct.
There wasn't that many excuse back then.
No.
Okay.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Yeah, that's okay. Let's rein it in and keep on plugging because we have a lot still to cover here. Okay, our next item is discussion and action on Bayfield Street Project Phase 2 design elements, including turn lanes, bump outs, and decorative features. That is in tab 7 of your packet. And we had some citizen participation. We have a summary of that in the packet. We have some comments in the memo. And we are looking to make decisions on those specific things that were addressed in the survey. Is that correct? The bump outs, the sidewalks. Does anyone have a motion they would like to make on the design elements for Phase 2? With turn lanes, bump outs, sidewalks, decorative features.
Madam Mayor, I am ready to make a motion, but I have a question before I can make a motion to staff. The possibility of extending the sidewalk on the north side to Superior Avenue some of the comments dealt with whether or not the housing development that is proposed actually is going to occur, because we won't know until May whether they're successful in the grant funding that is critical to make this happen. And so is there, what is the absolute latest that we could make a decision about that sidewalk on Superior Street, to Superior Street?
Let me suggest that if you want sidewalks there, if you want to make it contingent upon that housing being approved, the sidewalk issue, we would certainly push that to June. That wouldn't be a major concern. But we do need to, if you have a desire for sidewalk in there, we need to know that, because that could change the profile of the highway, and they need to start working on that.
One more thing, if the housing development does not get the credits needed, I believe they are going to try applying again at a future date, potentially. So just putting that out.
Yeah, potentially. Yeah. Madam Mayor, given the information from staff, I would make a motion that we approve contingent on the Scenair project going forward, extending the sidewalks on the north side to Superior Avenue and a bump out on 3rd Avenue.
Second.
Okay, so just those two things?
Those two things.
And Laura, that's you're seconding that motion?
Yeah, I had issue with 6, just considering cost of bump outs and challenges with plowing.
Okay, so the motion by Karen and second by Laura is for extending the sidewalk on the north side to Superior Avenue contingent upon the housing project moving forward and a bump out on 3rd. And when you say that, do you mean on both sides, but on one side, you know?
I wasn't specific, I recognize that.
Sorry,
I don't know what the recommendations are from staff.
The recommendation on 3rd was that the bump outs be on the, that would be the west side of the,
So the north and south.
The north and south on the west side of the intersection.
And that, I will add that to the motion.
Okay. North and south.
Agreed.
West side. Okay. Are there any questions?
Can you clarify the sidewalk in there?
Correct,
Is that
yeah.
only on the north side?
Only
That
on
was
the
the
north
motion,
side.
on the north side.
Any other questions?
Decorative, you said there was not a lot of support in your memo, there's not a lot of support for any other decorative things, so are we talking like the one where we talked about maybe doing like a stamp?
Like the permanent decoration kind of stuff, yeah. But I think there are definitely some room there for creative temporary beautification that has yet to be talked about as the larger group for beautification in general of the whole Bayfield Street project.
Okay, just waiting for that.
And
Just waiting for that.
yes, and actually that
I bring it up.
Okay, there's a survey, and we should talk about that.
And I was just gonna ask, do we know where we are with the survey and what the process and plan is for bringing that back into a discussion of beautification? And I just want to throw out there while I'm waiting for that answer, I have a meeting scheduled with Ann Katz from Arts Wisconsin on beautification of communities coming up, looking at how other communities are doing beautification and the creative ideas that are out there for how you can do that, maybe without being like a permanent stamp in the concrete or whatever.
Again, I'm totally good with that, I think everyone on council knows my feelings on this, right? And I'm glad we're working on it, so thank you so much. I just don't want us to forget. So, because we're passing up on some opportunities, right, as we go along, thinking that we're gonna do it more comprehensively for the whole thing, and I like that idea, right? I do. Just nervous.
So the survey that was mentioned is being coordinated with the Chamber and Northland College. That is currently underway. My understanding, that's been open for people to respond to. And then they were going to be going around to get that, and I believe they need to get that done here within the next couple of weeks, because school's gonna be out in a month, and then they will compile that information and present that to the Plan Commission, which is currently responsible for that beautification discussion.
So you said that that survey is open. Is it open to anyone to take the survey, or do they, I don't know where to find the survey. Can we,
Isn't it on the city website?
There are
On
flyers-
Facebook?
There are flyers back here.
so how do people know that if they're not here right now?
The survey was focused towards the businesses on Bayfield Street, and was sent out to all of those members.
Okay.
But anyone would be able to participate. There's not a gate on that survey to my knowledge, so.
So, and then they're gonna communicate with the non-member businesses then also?
I don't,
Was the plan, or you don't?
I don't have the details of their methodology.
Yeah, okay, that's good.
I probably would wrap it up.
Okay, so we have a motion for sidewalks on the north side of Superior Avenue, out to Superior Avenue, and a bump out on Third Street on the north and south on the west side of the intersection. Are there any other questions or discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Our next item is discussion and action on contract amendment with Marina Management, Inc. related to financial review / compilation for 2020. This is tab 8 of your packet.
Move to approve the amendment of the contract with Marina Management to allow compilation of financial statements for the fiscal year ending March 31st, 2022.
Second. Motion by Carl, second by Karen. I did double check with the banker on the Harbor Commission and make sure that he had no issue with that, and he said that he does not at all. He thinks that this is a fine solution at this time. Anyone else have any questions, comments? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, Michelle, if you're still on.
She gave a thumbs up.
All right, next item, discussion and action on agreement with Cooper Engineering to prepare final plans and cost estimates for West End Park campground expansion project. This is tab 9 of your packet. I guess we need a motion to get started with our discussion. Does anyone have a motion they would like to make?
I'll make a motion to accept this.
Okay, motion by Tom,
I'll second.
second by Dave. One thing that I would like to say in response to some of the comments that I heard during public comment is that there is restoration work happening on the Lakefront Trail. I know there's some concern about the Lakefront Trail and letting it, go, and I want to just make sure that it's not an either or scenario. It's not that we develop this or we take care of the Lakefront Trail. We will continue to take care of the Lakefront Trail no matter what we do or don't do with the campground expansion. And that work is being driven by our Parks Committee and contractors that are removing the invasive species and working through their work plan to improve the vegetation along the lakefront trail. The path will be preserved along with a good amount of green space. And it's not, speaking to the previous mayor, it's not as easy these days to just get volunteers to do the work. There's a lot more restrictions and guidelines and rules that municipalities have to follow these days, and it's not as easy to just get a group together and do the job. And so I just want to point out that, again, we have, the city approved a plan for a campground expansion. We are looking at what that might look like. I appreciate everyone's thoughts on this. And I just want to reiterate that I think we're doing the best we can with the decisions that have been made and put before us and our needs that we need to address. Does anyone else have any comments or questions?
I have several.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
That's okay. No need to apologize.
So I read over the Cooper Engineering proposal. And I know that what the Parks Committee came up with was in here, right? But it's not clear to me, and maybe I missed it, but like, you know, again, this design, I know the council voted for it, this design was taken into account, trying to preserve that scenic integrity, right? All the stuff we've been talking about tonight. And there was like principles and some other things that came out of that, those public sessions. So I guess I didn't see very much of that in like the write-up, right? So I guess I'm just wondering like how that communication is gonna happen, right? Like we're gonna spend like a lot of money to get back to site design. I just wanna make sure like, I don't know, all that work kind of goes into it, you know, because if I'm gonna pay somebody, I don't know. So can you tell me a little bit about that, Scott? You see what I'm saying? Because like they say in your site design, it's gonna be based on the conceptual plan layout for the overflow camping area, include, you know, there's just not a lot of detail, I guess, on how they're gonna do it and what they would take into consideration.
I'm gonna ask Tony a question, because after the last council meeting, that discussion and the notes and the materials that were taken from that discussion, that has been relayed and provided to Cooper Engineering already, and you have had conversations with them regarding that discussion. Is that correct?
I have, and that's why they also included the design, which is in the very back.
Right.
So my discussion was identifying what council approved with yurts and trail and those discussed, open field area.
Okay.
I guess I'm not sure what's your specific question.
So this design, right, that the Parks Committee came up with, I mean, we worked hard to get there, but it's pretty rudimentary, right? And so there was a lot of different, I guess, principles of what this community thought was important. And so, I mean, I'll be honest, so what we initially got back from Cooper Design Engineering, you're going to give back what you give to the design people, right? I mean, what we got back from them was nothing special, right? I'm just going to be honest, nothing special at all. And that's not their fault. I'm not saying they're a bad engineering company. They're an engineering company, right? And so now we're paying, this is for the $73,000, and I'm just nervous about, like, I think I've said nervous several times tonight. I'm just like, is it worth, like, is this the company that's gonna give us what I feel our lakefront deserves? right? I feel like we put a ton of work in, we have a conceptual design, I have like criteria, go ahead, that's all I got, that's my question.
Yeah, they seem a little uninvolved in the process and the amount of vested feelings in the project.
Correct.
Go ahead, Karen.
Couple comments. Jen, in the second paragraph in their letter dated March 24th, areas in the camp expansion will be designed for native planting, community space, some planting to shield the area from adjacent roads, 4 areas of yurt construction. Now, that may not address all the things that the community has said will be important, and the Parks Committee said will be important on that piece of property, but those are some of the major issues I know that have been discussed. Am I right?
So let me just say one thing. I think what's missing from this is
But I have one more.
go ahead.
And my second comment is, if we approve Cooper Engineering, could not a representative meet with the Parks Committee and get further nuance in terms of what the Parks Committee is really wanting to see?
Yeah, I mean, that's
Could
what
that
that's
happen?
kind of what I'm asking
Yeah.
here. But we're already paying $77,000, I mean, we're gonna ask them to meet with us. I'm just kind of like, and I get that, I guess that paragraph to me
Is the bare minimum.
is a bare minimum.
So what I would like to say about that is, I think what they're missing is they didn't even acknowledge that this is a tough decision for our community and the importance of preserving the area for public enjoyment. And, they didn't even like say anything about that in their proposal at all for the design.
I mean, I can't say that I got that far detailed in discussion with them. I did tell them that this was a labor of work and action, and shared some of the comments that were made by the public, and that this is what the Parks Committee recommended and what council approved.
Yeah,
So,
but they're not following this at all, or they're not invested in that way.
no, but I mean, the other thing is that we're asking them to do a final design. So I mean, even before any building gets done, this will be, they will identify the location of where the yurts will be, where the trail will be, cost for that as well. This also includes the RV expansion as well, so the sewer lines for the bathhouse and how all those are gonna run. So I mean, their expertise is the engineering aspect of it.
Aspect. I know, I work with plenty of engineers in my business too, and I have to constantly go back to them and go, and so I'm a little, they're engineers. And, okay, go ahead. You see what I'm saying?
So-
They're not designing.
So just to clarify, we did not have them involved in any of these discussions because we would have had to pay for that.
I know.
And we didn't even know if the concept of moving forward with this was going to be approved. We had gone through a process at the very beginning of selecting who the engineer was going to be. So, I mean, if you're not comfortable with you need to know that. But if you approve this before we sign on the dotted line, I would ask them to provide us with a number of how many visits or contacts that they would make, perhaps with the park committee or with the council on the final, before we finalize that design iteration, how many of those contacts would be included in this contract with that, to add some comfort.
Yeah, I mean, that's my point. My point is like an iterative process, right? Like last time we kind of got back, and maybe you guys met with them, I don't know, but they came back and they had a design. It's like, okay, here you go, And I guess for me, the importance of how much the community has been gracious and given us their input. We did come up with something, but it was, like I said, it was kind of the base. And so I guess I would like to see a more iterative process, and I'm a little nervous of like how much snow's out there and the deadline of like when we can actually like meet on the ground, and like you said, like how many times. So that to me is one piece of this where I have the question. And my second question for the council is, and I brought this up in our prioritization and our like goals and objectives for the year, is this something that we feel that we have the capacity as a city to do along with what everything else we're doing with the Bayfield Street construction? And I brought this up last night, right? I don't feel, I'm not so sure about the timing of this with everything else that's going on. So those are my two comments.
And before I turn it over to staff to answer that question, because really, of course, the staff are the ones who are the most invested with the time.
Yeah.
The one thing that I would like to say is that there's never a good time, because there's always things that have to get done. And there's always probably more things than we have the capacity to do. However, when we have spent so much time and effort on a plan, I feel the need to just keep the plan moving forward. So much effort and public input was given and money invested in that original plan. And now to finally get to a place where now we know what that might look like. I mean, I just feel like we have to keep moving it along to be responsible to that.
So on the timing, I assure you, no one is more aware of the various projects and issues that we have going on. However, there has been a logic to moving forward with this particular project, because I know that this is going to require, even if we are successful with obtaining grants or outside funding, that this is going to require an investment included in a borrowing. And I know with our schedule, we have to prepare for a significant borrowing this summer and this fall for the Bayfield Street project. And this is going to be, and if this particular project is important and we're moving along with this, this is going to have to be included with that, because once we do this borrowing, we're not doing anything for quite a while. Say phase 2 of Bayfield Street, because we're gonna tap out our ability to take on significant projects without a tax increase, which then that causes other issues. So we're gonna have to balance all of this stuff with park improvements, fire truck, what we actually need for the project. And any other roads, we're talking about bathroom facility, all these ideas that we need to do have to be put down on paper, and we have to decide what is the priority. This is a priority project. We need this information in order to move forward with it. So
that's the question, is this a priority?
So we either move forward and do this now, or it doesn't happen for many years, period.
Thanks for answering that.
Tom?
This also generates income like right away too. As you know, because this will be the papers that I saw, we got from 20, 4 years, $78,000 a year net revenue is what I saw. That's over and above the payments. And 5.8 years to pay that whole thing off, that means this and that overflow will start producing some serious revenue for the city.
Sorry, the floor is not open right now, Rob.
I know, I'm just gesturing.
Anyone else?
How much we have invested in newly paid airs for first drawing?
The first drawings that we got back were, I think, $10,000. About, I think they were 10. I was saying 15, and then I looked at them 10. So $10,000.
And that's fine, where they were kind of rough.
And they, yep.
And that was for RVs down there, not yours.
I mean, still.
Correct.
And that's why I was a little surprised that this came back this expensive without like more detail of like, I guess the initial ones were maybe just that, they weren't buildable plans, is that what you're telling me?
That was just layout. So
That was just
this will
layouts.
include surveying, which is a large part of this.
Okay,
So the topography.
soil
it'll be the-
testing,
It'll
wetland
be the
testing.
connection of sewer lines to our current lift station, so it'll have those details. Electrical, running the electricity to the sites.
And the plantings.
Yeah.
All of it.
And that's where, like, for me, if we're spending $70,000, which I'm sure still, like, out of the parks designated fund, makes me, anyway, I just want to make sure that we get done with that process and we're like all on board, right? So I'd like to really see, and if we have to pay a little, I just want to make sure that the council gets to be brought along, or the parks committee, or something. Because what I don't want is those plans, then them coming back and me going, seriously? That's what we paid $70,000 for? I mean, I will throw a fit, and I might go take my freedom and have to quit. Because it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money, and we have to think about that investment in the return, right? Because that's an investment.
Yep.
It's a sunken investment that we have to think about that. And I'm telling you, that park designated fund and with our community, I'm trying really hard to think about balancing between, things for our community and things for our tourists that come here, right? I really think like a big chunk of this is the restroom, right? Having a restroom down there is gonna really service our community, boat landing, but there's also, like, as people brought forward, there's other things, maintenance and other deferred maintenance and other things that our community needs out of that park designated fund. So it's a lot of money to consider out of the park designated fund.
And just keep in mind that sometimes those things go together, our community and our visitors, because how many people have their family come to visit and they need to stay somewhere? And how many of them would have their family stay at one of these yurts? So I think it's gonna be a benefit to the community. How many of you would wanna stay in the yurt yourself? I think
There's residents who want to stay in the yurt.
so I think there is some aspect of community together with visitors in the plan, in addition to just the bathroom. Anyway, anyone else?
I asked one, if it comes in close to this, there should be no problems with what they come up with. This area looks good. This is your third top. You have families, community space with plantings, all natural, or native species, excuse me, and then your trees and shrubs in the front. And we're not doing what the whole plan said to do, which was live camping, the glamping, and RVs. That's not going there.
I've been talking to a lot of people in the community, and there's a couple different places where people can give input, and I know that we had an open public earlier, but I just feel like I've been telling people, like, this is the time that the public can speak, actually give input into this, is tonight. And then again, when we come back and we approve like the final plan for construction or whatever, there's a couple other times. And so I'm gonna make a motion to open the floor for some additional public comment.
Motion by Jen, second by Laura, to open the floor for public comment. Let me just remind everyone that this is regarding the item, which is the agreement with Cooper Engineering. Like, that's the only thing that we're voting on right now.
Yep. And we talked about in our last time when we voted for this, that there'd be other times for the public to give comment. So, now we have price associated with this, and so that's why I'm open the floor.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, anyone from the public would like to give a comment on this item? Please step forward.
Hi, I'm Roth Edwards, and I live at 221 West 6th Street, Washburn. Thank you for opening the floor. I have some points. These are business points. I have been making my business points too, actually since about 2003, and these are very much business points. So I think you'll like them. The council's argument against the marina storage should also pertain to the preservation of public green space on Holman Lakeview Drive. Another $73,000? is proposed to be spent above and beyond the $75,000 already spent. This matter needs to be tabled until it can be brought up in front of the new councilors and the public as a whole. And this is going to be a mind-expanding point I'm going to give you right here, is that the Local Business Alliance and Washburn's environmentalists are about a complete agreement. Tourism is Washburn's primary path forward. Do we really think selling off and fronting our lakefront with more quote-unquote development is going to be a charm to bring folks here, let alone add to local bank accounts? Or would keeping that irreplaceable asset, our remaining lakefront, be an overall greater advantage in all ways to the community, to you, to the people who would visit here, to Washburn's overall magnetism? Let's ask. Councilmember Dave Anderson was already asking this earlier. What does Washburn really have if we sell off or otherwise take away our lakefront and its views? One more specific point. A decision should not be made tonight. The council would do better for the community, for itself, for the people who would visit, by saving our Lakeshore Trail in perpetuity for the people. As Mayor Edith Murrella fondly, accurately called it, people's path. This is our people's path. Thank you again for your time.
Thanks, John. Anyone else?
I think I'm right at the edge of propriety here. John Hopkins, 631 West Bayfield Street in Washburn. So, looking at the development of the park down here, beautiful park. We live right very close to it. It's a great place to walk through. The overflow area that is going to be developed is going to take quite a bit of time and money to develop the overflow. The one that I think that could be expensive and to me is a little rocky is the 2.5 acres. That's the one that I kind of go, well, you know, we don't want to take it away from city council, really. But is it possible to wait and see how we do on the overflow? I mean, is that something we can do? Can we keep it on the agenda and maybe see how that goes? Or do we, or I don't know this, do we need to do the engineering now while we're doing it? That might be a deciding point, Scott. I don't really know. So it's one of these things where, you know, we keep hearing all of the discussions about let's not develop that area. And so listening to the overall comprehensive plan, there are things that haven't even been stated yet, ideas for what to do with and for Washburn. So until we have a little more time, you know, it's time that's of the essence. Can we have more discussions on this before we make decisions? Basically what I want to say.
Okay, thanks, John. Anyone else?
Cool, thank you.
Oh, again,
Just put a check mark next to your last time.
well, I didn't write it down the first time.
Oh.
It's like, whoops, my bad. Okay.
Here, let me have the sheet, please, the sign-in sheet.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Yes. So, those of us who are untrained in the Robert's Rules of Orders and protocol that we're supposed to be signing the sheet.
It's okay, go ahead.
Once again, Lee House. Yes, you've heard me before, and I'll say it again, to err on the side of caution in talking about this comprehensive plan that we have to keep marching forward just because we got it, we got to keep going, is a just, I don't want to say flawed logic, but it just kind of seems like it's a rush. It's a rush to judgment. And to throw over, like I said previously, lot 48, when it could gain revenue, with the idea that it's going to not be aesthetic, but yet destroy the aesthetic of the lakefront, near the West End campground. If it is west of 8th Street, where the campground is and the overflow that's being talked about up on that ridge, but when it starts going east of 8th Street and expanding into the natural lakefront area, I believe that at the 2 council meetings that I attended in November and in March, it seemed like 98% of the people that spoke about the development had concerns about it and asked the council to protect Washburn's public land and respectfully pause or wait for this decision to get done, to start talking RV expansion and land cement for RV campers and bathhouses and plumbing. That just seems like it's very expensive. And as one gentleman had suggested, the revenue, if you change the rates and raise the camping rates, you'd probably gain a lot more revenue than you would by trying to expand the campground. And there are a lot of people in town. I don't know if you've all heard it, but someone had started a petition to go around asking people, if it was put to a public referendum and people had the opportunity to vote on it, the community's majority will seems to be going in that direction, where it's asking the council to table this matter regarding the West End Park campground expansion until Washburn people vote on the proposed ordinance and an election referendum. And I know that people might not like the idea of pushing it. But these are lands that have been there for a long time. So if it's just temporarily tabled until you can see the results of the document that's being passed around that people are signing actively. I've been in a lot of different public restaurants and places in town where people have talked about it and said, yes, they definitely are in favor of this being tabled, even if they aren't here tonight. And I know this is kind of like off the cuff for me to say that, but it's that classic, you don't know what you got until it's gone. If you let this go, you'll never be able to change it back. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else for public comment?
Jared Trimble, 24 East 3rd Street. I just want to say that I've followed this long, hard discussion for a long time. It's very painful. It's not easy. And I think that if you did ask a lot of people, green space or something developed, they say green space every time. But when you get into the details of it, it's not so simple. It's not, it's a trade-off. And I'm going to repeat my comments from my last time I spoke. I still support going forward with this. I think it's what the city needs to stay ahead with its finances, or at least keep doing that. It's a small trade-off. I've talked to a lot of people too, my age, families. We don't want to see Washburn continue to deteriorate. We want money for the parks that we already have. We just want Washburn to be successful. We see that there's not a lot of money or a lot of resources coming in, so this is one way it can be done. So I just want to say I'm for it. So
thank you. Okay, anyone else here for public who would like to speak with the floor open?
Ask your question even while it's still open.
Sure.
Are we just voting on a couple of places I've read on just the agreement to come up with the plan for
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
that field.
Yep.
We're not talking about the overflow anymore.
It's all approved already.
Right.
It's all been approved to move forward, and now we're voting on the contract.
If you actually look at there's a good summary, it's like, the original proposal had an estimated fee for task of 40, about 6,000, almost 50.
Yeah.
That was like that's like the overflow, getting, like Tony said, actually the design for everything. I'm getting those engineering plans, and then it says here, to add the expanded area, the trail, the bridge, the parking, the utility design, we estimate to increase to the 24. So like to do that in your area with the bridge and all that design is an additional 25,000. So like when somebody was talking about just doing the overflow, you could do the overflow for like 50,000. You're adding on the expanded area, where you're getting to be that 73. So, it's an extra $23,000, $24,000 to do that second area.
Okay, I would like to see a motion to
Yeah,
close the
That's
floor.
why, that's why I was talking my hand, because with public is still, I would move that we close the floor.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Point of order, Madam Mayor. Do we have a motion
Yes.
for approval?
Yes.
That's right.
Is there any further discussion now that we've heard other comments on this?
When you and I talked about this week, about there's a place down in Sawyer County where they have a bunch of yurts. They are full 300 nights out of the year. They're talking about adding more.
Yeah, again, I think it gets back to the fact of, I think there's no question that if we build it right now, it's gonna come. It's gonna be, I don't have any concern that yours is gonna be popular. It's again, getting back to what we've been talking about tonight about the lakefront and how fresh it is, and making sure that when we do go to do something along our lakefront, that it is a very calculated and very, thoughtful process that we involve the public. I feel I can look myself in the mirror because I'm on the Parks Committee and I worked really hard to try to get the public's input.
Public was involved.
And it was involved, and this is part of a 2015 plan that we've adjusted accordingly. Again, I just want to make sure that I give honor to those individuals who did come and give their input, right? And I will agree that most people that did come to the planning commission, the meetings, again, they were very much, not completely in favor of developing this area. I just want to be clear, right? And when they gave their input, it was, if we're going to do something, be thoughtful, be natural, be minimal, start small. All these concepts, and those are the concepts that I want to make sure, because what we came up with as the 5 people in our Parks Committee, I'm hoping that an engineering firm with professionals might be able to do something a little better. But I'm afraid that they might not. That's my point.
But isn't that the role, in part the role of the Parks Committee, to continue to work with Tony and the
I hope so,
firm
yep.
to give them input and hold, walk in tandem during this process to make sure that that's included?
And I'm not completely sure. The Parks Committee, that we take our, we take our marching orders from the council. So as far as I'm concerned,
do it.
As far as I'm concerned, the Parks Committee has done their task. I'm just, again, to me, in general, I know you have to spend money to do designs. I think this is a large amount of money. But it is what it is. I was not planning on seeing this sticker. Did anybody else have a little sticker shock?
I was a little bit.
Okay, let's be clear. That was a little sticker shock for everybody, all right? Sticker shock.
It's consistent with what we've had at Marina.
Okay, and I just haven't done anything like this in a while, so but I'm sticker shocked. This one gave me a big sticker shock.
2 other quick reminders. One is that the 2015 plan, so I don't feel like we're really rushing into anything here, did have primitive camping east of 8th Street.
6th Street.
East of 6th Street, thank you. No,
It's 6th Avenue.
6th, you're right. East of 6th, thank you. And then the trail just to remind everyone, is not being impacted in any way. We are not taking away the trail from anyone. The trail remains. And from what I can tell, is really not going to be affected all that much by the proposed plan for 4 yurts tucked in the corner of this open space. So we have a motion, we have a second. Any other final comments before we vote?
I have a question. I'm on Zoom.
Okay, sorry, the floor is not open to the public right now, so we're just doing a vote at the council.
I had posted a comment when it was open public, but no one was able to help me with the microphone to speak, so I'm just wondering if I can make like maybe a 1-minute comment.
I'll move to open the
If
floor.
that's a,
Hold on 1 sec. So you move to open the floor? Laura?
if you look in the comments, it did try
Sorry,
to.
we just have to do a procedural thing before we can let you speak. So Laura's making a motion to open the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, you can go ahead. If you could state your name and address, please, and then go ahead with your comment.
Hi, my name is Genevieve Dwyer. I do apologize for doing this. Thank you for the moment of time. I was born and raised in Washburn. I don't currently live there. I currently live in Connecticut with my military husband. I'm a little nervous, so I apologize. I just wanted to share a comment, mainly just because I have been watching this from afar. My heart is with Washburn and its citizens. I do appreciate all the work that has been done. I know all parties and all perspectives have valid points. I just want to also say thank you, Jen, for communicating the aspect of seeing what the money is being addressed for while you guys go through the process. I'm not familiar with a lot of the political side of things, but I do know that as a military spouse traveling to 3 parts of the country, the United States, one of the biggest things I've cherished is the natural areas. And so that is why my heart has gotten involved. If anybody's heard of my comments or not, I'm not sure. I just have a big pull in my heart to communicate that, so that coming from someone who was born and raised in Washburn, not able to come home often, it is very important for me to share that the lake is very cherished, lakefront. I do understand the yurts, and I appreciate the Parks Committee doing all of the work to propose alternatives. I know this has been a long going process, so I'm so sorry it's probably longer than a minute. Thank you for your time, and I hope I got my point across as I intended.
Thank you for listening in and for participating. Appreciate that.
Madam Mayor, I move that we close the public comment.
Motion by Karen, second by Tom. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, now we're going to go back to the original motion to approve the agreement with Cooper Engineering to prepare final plans and cost estimates for West End Park. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Motion carries. Thanks, everyone. Looking ahead, these next 4 items are all similar, and I would entertain a motion to act on all 4 of them together, if anyone would so move.
Madam Mayor, I move approval of the special event requests as indicated in our packet and tab 10, 11, 12, and 13.
All right, I'll take Tom on that. Motion by Karen, second by Tom. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone. Really appreciate it. Don't forget to grab a cupcake. Are we out yet?